Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku had a quirk like no other part 2. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 3, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story, My Hero Academia fan 132 Wattpad. So let's start the video. After everything that happened, Izuku had to rest as he was hurt really bad. Nezu and All Might were relieved that Izuku was alive at all, as All Might barely managed to escape when he fought, but this time Gaia decided to let someone live, which was new for him. Aizawa, is it okay if I stay with him for a while in his room? Nejire asked. Why is that? Aizawa asked. Well, it's his room, and also Class 1A already knows what's going on. My class doesn't, and if I'm going to take care of him then I have to stay close to him, Nejire stated. Well, you have a point. Well, alright then, I'll allow it, Aizawa answered as he walked off. Here, let me help you, 𝗬𝗏𝗏 said as she made Izuku weightless. Thanks a lot, Nejire said as she lifted Izuku up. Before you go, bring him to my office first so we can wash his BLD off, Recovery Girl stated as they walked towards her office to clean Izuku up. After that, Nejire decided to bring Izuku to his dorm room. No one looked surprised when Nejire just casually walked in as 𝗬𝗏𝗏 showed her Izuku's room. Once she walked inside, she laid Izuku on the bed as she placed the blankets on him. She then sat at the side of the bed. When suddenly someone knocked on the door. Once she opened up, she saw it was Mirio, Tamaki, Todoroki, Kirishima and Azui. Hey Nejire, we wanted to check up on how Izuku was doing. Is it alright if we come in? Kirishima asked. Sure, but he's still sleeping, so you'll have to be quiet when talking, she stated as she opened up for them. Mirio looked at Izuku. I was really shocked when I saw him in such a state. Sure, he has been in such a state before, but that was by someone created by humans with multiple quirks. After that, when he fought off an entire enemy hideout. I never expected to see Izuku in such a state even before he touched someone, Mirio said as he looked at Izuku with a sad face. Did you know Izuku had to fight such a battle? Nejire asked. No, Mirio stated. I only knew he had to try and get someone to our side and that it might get dangerous, but that's all. I only figured from Izuku's reaction that it was someone with incredible power, but I never figured their gap to be this big, Mirio added. Let's just be glad he's back and still alive. Although I really thought he was gonna die, especially after that fireball exploded when he was already so hurt, Azui stated. So was I, Nejire said. Still, Izuku is really amazing. He was able to push past his limit and land some solid blows even while he was about to drop seconds before, but I have to admit, once I saw Izuku fly inside and see him against the wall in such a state, it frightened me, Kirishima said. And it's not over, he told Izuku himself. He would be joining the villains just to see how much Izuku would grow, Tamaki said. So that means Izuku will be forced to fight him again, Todoroki then said. Well, he's not alone. If he's gonna fight that guy again, I'll help him. Nejire stated. So will we, Mirio stated as Tamaki nodded. Well, we're going back now. Take care of Izuku for us, Kirishima said as he and Azui walked out. Mirio and Tamaki stayed for a while longer. You sure you can take care of him on your own? Mirio asked. Sure, no problem. Nejire said confident. What if he gets up and starts moving around? Tamaki asked. I'll find something, maybe I'll tie him to the bed, Nejire joked. Please don't, Izuku said as he woke up. Izuku, she said as she quickly hugged him. Easy, it still hurts, Izuku said in pain. Sorry, I'm just happy you're alright, she said. Welcome back, Izuku, Mirio said as Tamaki also smiled towards Izuku. Hey guys, what happened to Gaia? Izuku asked as he decided to sit up. You'll stay in bed. Nejire said sternly. Sorry, just wanted to sit up, Izuku said. That's alright, she said with a sweet smile as she sat next to him against the wall as she sat against him. Gaia left. He said he'd join the villains and couldn't wait for your next challenge once you're stronger, Mirio explained as Izuku decided to lay down against Nejire. Nejire was surprised Izuku did that out of his own, but she didn't dislike it. She was glad he did that, since she figured it's also his way to respond to her feelings. She then placed her hand on his head as she felt herself get warmer and warmer. I see, Guess now I really have to get the power to destroy the world then to defeat him, Izuku stated as he was staring at the ceiling. He then suddenly saw Nejire's beautiful eyes looking in his as they stared at each other. So, Izuku, what happened anyways? You were in pretty bad shape, Tamaki asked. Well, I tried convincing him to join us. Instead he wanted to make a deal. Izuku stated. Which deal? Mirio asked. Well, Izuku started. Flashback. Izuku explains it to the big three. Let's make a deal. If you can beat me then I'll join the heroes, if you can't then I'll join the villains and you'll lose your life, Gaia said. Well, it's not like I have a chance now, do I? Izuku asked. Not really. You ready? Gaia asked. Izuku took a stance then rushed at Gaia as he threw a punch, but Gaia blocked it with wind. Demon, that's a thick wall of wind. Izuku state. He then disappeared as he appeared at high speed around Gaia then disappeared again just to appear again. Eventually Izuku tried kicking Gaia but he blocked it with wind again. You know that's not all my wind can do, Gaia said as wind surrounded Izuku. He tried jumping away but the wind still got a few cuts in. I hope you don't think that's all to my power, Gaia said as suddenly multiple pillars appeared. From those pillars, other pillars shot out launching Izuku between them. Izuku managed to avoid a pillar as he then charged at Gaia, but once he got closer a pillar shot right at his stomach. Izuku endured the pain and got closer but a wall shot up formed the ground blocking the punch. Izuku tried to find an opening for a few hours but to no avail as he started to breathe heavily. I have to admit, you sure are creative with tactics. I never saw that many tactics just to get past my defenses, Gaia stated. You sure have power and speed, that's for sure, Gaia said. But I think it's time to stop only defending, Gaia said as suddenly a pillar of flame emerged from underneath Izuku as he shot up. Gaia then surrounded Izuku with wind as he smashed him towards the ground as he at the same time shot a pillar from the ground smashing into Izuku. Izuku then flew away but Gaia quickly shot multiple fireball at Izuku which burned his clothes off. You are from UA, right? I recognize that costume. Let's make it your final resting place, Gaia said as he shot a wind/fire tornado towards Izuku launching him far over the city towards UA. Gaia then shot another pillar out of the ground at Izuku sending him flying again as he shot a giant fireball after Izuku to do damage and speed up towards UA. Once the fireball exploded at Izuku, he even shot a tornado of wind at him to top it off. End of flashback. That's how I ended up back at school, Izuku stated as he placed his hand at his ribs. How did you survive that? Tamaki asked amazed. I honestly don't know. I felt like I was dying but I didn't, Izuku stated. That was brutal tough, Mirio said as he looked sad. It sure was. I still failed my mission though, Izuku said as he closed his eyes. Suddenly he felt a hand at his cheek. You maybe failed one mission but you completed another, she said with a dreamy look in her eyes. What's that? Izuku asked. You kept your promise and came back to me alive, she said as she smiled at him while a tear rolled down her face as Izuku wiped it away. You're a sweet girl, Izuku then stated making her blush. You two are made for each other, Mirio said giving a soft smile. Mirio, Nejire said pouting and blushing. It wasn't meant as a joke, he added. I agree with Mirio, Tamaki said. Can I agree? Izuku asked as it took everyone's attention as they then started laughing. Sure you can, Mirio said. Be aware, if you want to agree to that, then you'll have to deal with me for the rest of your life. Nejire teased. I wouldn't want to have it any other way, Izuku smiled at her. This made Nejire happy beyond words. She was a beautiful young girl, and she was also very kind and sweet. She had a lot of boys running after her, mostly because of her beauty as only a few knew who she really was. One Mirio and Tamaki also knew how she was but weren't after her. They mostly saw her as a little sister. But she never figured she would find someone that actually knew how she was, and that she cared about so much. No, she actually loved him. They knew each other shortly but had been through a lot and Nejire felt her love for Izuku growing. She never had a boyfriend before but once Izuku said he wouldn't have it any other way, her heart bursted from happiness. She started tearing up with a smile. Did I say something wrong? Izuku asked as he started to mumble about what he could have done wrong. Mirio and Tamaki smiled because they knew how she must be feeling right now. You didn't say anything wrong. I'm just really happy. Ever since you saved me I felt calm and safe around you, and we've been through so much. My love for you kept growing and growing. I've never had someone like you, as others only were after me because of how I looked. Some even for my body, Nejire stated. Don't worry, that's taken care of, 𝗵𝗲𝗄 stated as Tamaki nodded towards Izuku as they saw him with an irritated look. Too, but you are special. I love you, Izuku, she suddenly said. Izuku became a bright red as he could only stare at her without even blinking. I think you melted his brain, Tamaki joked. I'm sorry, I don't know what to say to that. I can't even believe this is really happening. I've never really had someone liking me. They only admired my power and wanted me around for my power. My power is all people could think of as they didn't see me anymore, Izuku explained. 𝗵𝗲𝗄, Tamaki and Nejire got sad. My senses, my power, I only had to protect others or do stuff for them. Apart from that I didn't matter to anyone, he added. That changed, 𝗵𝗲𝗄 said. I guess so, Izuku stated. I lost my old life and my mother, but I gained you guys in return, an amazing girl and 2 amazing friends, Izuku stated. You mean brothers? Tamaki asked. Izuku looked confused. We see each other as family, the 3 of us. Nejire is our sister and we are brothers. And you joined the family, 𝗵𝗲𝗄 added in. Too, glad to hear it. Thanks a lot you guys. I'm glad I got a family again, Izuku stated as he closed eyes while tears rolled down as he remembered his mother and what happened to her. 𝗵𝗲𝗄, Tamaki and Nejire felt bad that Izuku felt like that, and that he lost his mother. Suddenly Nejire lifted his head as she lowered hers and kissed his forehead. Well, Izuku still needs to rest. We'll be going now. Let us know whenever you need us, 𝗵𝗲𝗄 stated. We'll come check on you later today or tomorrow, Tamaki added in as they walked outside. Well, I guess it's just you and me now, Nejire said as she closed her eyes. That's not so bad. I'm glad you are around, Izuku stated. You say that now, but you still didn't really respond to my confession and my feelings, she teased. Well, I'm not really allowed to move, so I can't right now, Izuku stated. This confused Nejire as she pulled him up. Izuku then suddenly kissed her as she was off guard. She was shocked at first but then closed her eyes and enjoyed the kiss as she felt warm and happy. I love you too, Nejire, he said as they broke apart from the kiss. You idiot. Taking me. 𝗵𝗃𝗲 like that, she said blushing. Well, I didn't know which words to use, so I guessed I should just show you like that, Izuku stated with a smile. Well, you better stay with me forever from now on, Nejire stated. Only if you want me to, Izuku answered. They smiled at each other as they decided to stay like that for a while. As Nejire had laid her head on his shoulder, Izuku had placed his arms around her as he held her close. They felt good. They were both very happy to be with each other. Plus, they love each other. Izuku had rested for a while Nejire looked after him carefully. Izuku did try to escape once in a while when Nejire wasn't looking because he wanted to train, but every time he got caught before he got outside. Izuku was wondering if she took over his senses and was able to sense him. Izuku had now rested enough and had fully recovered. He was allowed to join class again as well as do hero training and do his normal training. Nejire, however, decided to stay with Izuku anyways, and to everyone's surprise Nizu approved it. So, Izuku, what's it like having a hot girl sleeping with you and sharing a same room with you? Kaminari asked. Honestly, I'm cool with it. It's my girlfriend after all. She is allowed to stay with me as long as we behave and as long as it doesn't affect our school and hero work, Izuku stated. So what does she sleep in? Or is she a ND sleeper? Mineta asked. That's for me to know, Izuku answered. WW man, we'd wish we could see it, Kaminari sighed. You two are exactly the reason why my door is locked every night, Izuku said as he walked away. 6. Alright class. Today we'll be training to create special moves. Since we are having more and more encounters with villains, you'll need your provisional licenses, especially you Izuku. A lot of people have asked your assistance for missions. Sadly we had to turn them down because you don't have a license yet. However, one person asked us to let you have the exam this year. We wanted to make every one of you take the exam, but he asked me to let Izuku take it no matter what, even if the class wouldn't. 𝗧𝗏 stated. Is the mission he needs me for that important? Izuku asked. I don't know the details. He asked for my help as well, but details would come later. Also, it seems another student that works there has praised you quite a lot. So they wanted you on the mission for your power. but also to see what you can do. They already have high expectations for you, Izawa explained. I see. Well, can't let them down, can I? I'll just have to nail the license exam, Izuku stated confident. Izawa just nodded. Like I said, we'll be training you guys to get ready to take your exams. I'll expect every one of you to go plus ultra, he stated. 𝗬𝗏𝗧 then made fields for everyone, as ectoplasm made clones for most people. Izuku, can you help me with my training? Kirishima asked. Sure, but what do you need me for? Izuku stated. I'm trying to improve my hardening and I'm aiming for a state where I can tank your power, Kirishima said. So you kind of want to be my punching bag? Izuku asked, surprised. Well, if you put it like that it sounds kind of weird, but yes, basically. Kirishima said. Well, if you really want to guess I'll do it then, Izuku stated confused. First get as hard as you can, Izuku said. Dude, Kaminari shouted as he heard this. That sounded so wrong, Tokoyami stated. I didn't mean it like that. His quirk is hardening so he has to harden up, Izuku explained. 8. I have been working on a move, Kirishima explained as he hardened up more than normal. It's not perfect yet, but I can withstand more like this, Kirishima said. So what do you want me to do? Izuku asked. Attack me at your most powerful ever hit you give. I'll try to harden myself even more and push myself, Kirishima stated. Let's first see how you handle my attacks like this. I'm not going serious on you right from the start, but this also helps me to get stronger, so, Izuku stated. He then began punching and kicking Kirishima to strengthen one another. They continued this for the entire training. Dang, you sure took your hardening to another level. The first time we fought I defeated you in 2 hits as my first made you numb, but now you withstood it the entire training, Izuku said as he heavily panted, sweating on the ground. Yeah, and even while you have become a lot stronger, Oswell, your punches have become so much more powerful from back then. Kirishima said as he laid beside Izuku. Sadly, it's still not enough. I have to get a lot stronger, Izuku stated. They decided to train outside as it was a nice weather outside, and also to not take up the space inside. What are you two doing? Mirio asked as he walked towards them together with Tamaki and Nejire. Hey GG. Guys, Izuku said nervously. Bro, why are you stuttering? Kirishima whispered. Nothing really, Izuku stated nervously. So what are you two doing? You look like you ran a marathon, Tamaki stated. Izuku and I have been training together. To keep it simple, I kinda act like his punching bag. Taking powerful blows like his helps me improve my hardening, and Izuku can train that way as well, Kirishima stated. And how long have you two been training? Nejire then asked in a serious way. The entire time. I think around 2 to 3 hours straight. Izuku has been giving me his most powerful blows he can muster in his normal state this entire time, Kirishima explained as Izuku tried to sneak away. Izuku Midoriya, where do you think you are going? Nejire asked in a creepy, calm and sweet way. Nowhere really, Izuku said as he sweated even more. I thought I had told you to take it easy and to not push yourself so much right from the start, Nejire said as she slowly started floating. 6. I was holding back. I didn't go serious on him. Izuku stated. Izuku, those excuses won't work anymore. I would run if I were you. I'd give you my quirk if I could, but I can't, Mirio stated. Izuku started running as Nejire chased him in anger. You said you would take it easy to start with. But you've been going all out, haven't you? Nejire shouted as she chased him. Guys, a little help here. Izuku shouted. Why is she so angry at him? Kirishima asked. When he had to recover, he often tried to sneak off and train. She caught him every time. He only just recovered and she was worried he would be pushing himself too much, so he promised to take it easy, and Nejire gets scary if you worry her by breaking a promise, Mirio stated. I'm not going in there, Tamaki then stated. Nope, Mirio and Kirishima stated. Wait, I just now noticed, but is that Izuku's new hero suit? Mirio asked. Oh yeah, it is. Pretty cool, huh? Kirishima stated. I forgot to mention they train with hero costumes on Izuku's new hero costume is like the picture above, but without the face mask and the weapons. Then suddenly Izuku stopped as he turned serious. Nejire, Mirio, Tamaki and Kirishima saw this and joined his side. Kirishima wanted to ask what was up until they heard a voice. "I see, perceptive as ever, 𝐬𝐳," they heard as suddenly Gaia showed up from behind a tree. "What are you doing here?" Izuku asked in a serious way as the others took a step back as they feared his power. Not even Izuku could face it. "Nothing really, I got a mission. You see, I joined the League of Villains," Gaia stated as the others behind Izuku gasped. "My mission was to pick someone up together with Kurogiri, and if someone resisted I was allowed to use force, but honestly I don't care about all the others, I'm just here to get that person and to see how you have improved. I know you should have only recently healed up, but still, I just couldn't wait any longer. Fighting with you was the most excitement I've had in ages," Gaia stated as he got excited. "Who is this person you are here for?" Izuku asked. "Don't worry about that, let's just have some fun now," Gaia said. "Gaia, do keep in mind that we're here to get that person. It's alright if you attack people who try to resist, but this time we didn't come to kill anyone," Kurogiri said as he showed up. I know, I just want to fight him at his full strength," Gaia answered as suddenly Izuku got ready. "Guys, get back," Izuku stated. "Izuku, be careful, you only just recovered," Nejire said as she was worried about him. "How do I know for sure you won't target them again like you did last time?" Izuku asked. "Last time I was testing your resolve, and I held back. This time I came here for you. I fight fair and square in my battles. Last time was just to test you," Gaia explained. "I see, that's actually a relief, so no cheap tricks or interruptions then?" Izuku asked. "No cheap tricks or interruptions," Gaia answered. Izuku then launched at Gaia but disappeared the second his punch was about to hit a wall of air. Only small sounds of rustling grass could be heard as Izuku was moving too fast to follow. "You got a lot faster somehow," Gaia stated. "I can also tell that new suit of yours is helping you mask your presence, so it's harder for me to follow you. You really became the fast, stealthy type now, haven't you?" Gaia asked. "I did. I was stealthy as it was, but this suit helps me a lot more. No one expects the stealthy type to pack the strength I got, so I also have an element of surprise like this," they heard Izuku say as he kept hopping around without showing himself. Suddenly Izuku showed himself to Gaia's left side as he tried to attack Izuku, but at that time Gaia got a punch to the face as Izuku suddenly appeared on his right. "Not bad, even though you aren't using the determination you had back then, you still landed a blow on me," Gaia said amazed. The others were amazed as well, first by Izuku's speed, after that because Izuku landed a blow on Gaia. "1. You certainly improved. Did you maybe keep the power you had from the determination you had back then?" Gaia asked as he wondered. "I don't know, that might be the case. Still I have to keep my friends safe, and to do that, I need to have the power to beat you," Izuku stated as he got ready. "I see, that's true, but I do hope that lucky punch got you too comfortable. I hope you haven't forgotten, Izuku," Gaia said as a pillar of flames shot from underneath Izuku. "I can control more than one element," Gaia stated smiling. Izuku's suit was still intact as he only got light damage this time. "My suit also has heat resistance and won't melt off that easily," Izuku stated with a smile. "Not bad, so you can counter 2 of the 4 elements. I have to admit that is impressive, certainly after just one fight too," Gaia stated. "I knew I did good by joining them, this way I can fight you more. This is the only moment I feel excited. You are the only one that can put pressure on me," Gaia stated as he got more and more excited. "Thanks for the praise, but that isn't all I got," Izuku stated as he pulled back to punch. "What are you doing? You think you can get close enough in an instant to throw that punch? I know you are a close-range fighter, so even before you close in on me I can easily block you if I know you are coming," Gaia stated. Izuku then punched towards Gaia as suddenly high-pressure wind was shot towards Gaia, giving him a powerful blow to the face, sending him flying as he then harshly landed on the ground. "I see, so you even learned how to do that now. I'm really impressed," Gaia said as he had BLD coming from the corner of his mouth and some on his head. Gaia then shot multiple pillars of fire directly at Izuku as he then quickly made an air current around it, churning it in an air tornado as he then made air slashes inside of it towards Izuku. After a while he thought he had him, he undid the tornado to look, but Izuku was unharmed. "You managed to dodge all of that?" Gaia asked amazed as Izuku then suddenly shot an air pressure, Gaia quickly countered with a fireball as it created an explosion. After the smoke cleared, Gaia stood there with a smile. "I never thought you could gain this much when you had to recover for so long," he stated. "And I can't believe you are this much of a monster even while holding back," Izuku stated back. "Ah, dang it, you noticed," Gaia said as he laughed. Suddenly Class 1A and Aizawa and 𝗬𝗏𝗄 showed up as they all got wide eyes when they saw Izuku standing in front of Gaia, both a bit injured. Izuku had small burns on his shoulders and a few cuts after the explosion, while Gaia was bleeding from his mouth and on his head. "Is Izuku actually winning?" Aizawa asked, amazed. "No, Gaia is holding back at the moment," Mirio explained. "I see, he wanted to see if Izuku had improved," Aizawa said, worried. Bakugo then slowly walked towards Izuku. "Stay back, Bakugo. This is my fight. He and I both agreed to fight one-on-one," Izuku stated as Bakugo stopped. Izuku then launched at Gaia as he quickly appeared behind him, then tried to throw an air cannon at him, but Gaia threw up a wall from the ground blocking the wind as a tornado of fire appeared underneath Izuku, which he barely dodged. Izuku closed in and was just inches away when a pillar of earth shot just past Gaia directly in Izuku's stomach, making him jump back. "I have to admit, you are persistent," Gaia stated. "Tell me something, if you control 4 elements, why are you only using 3? Izuku stated. "There is no reason to rush your death," was Gaia's answer as spikes shot out of the ground. Izuku was about to dodge but suddenly was shot in the back with an explosion launching him towards the spikes. Izuku managed to turn his body away, but he still got stabbed in the side of his stomach. "Izuku!" they all shouted. "Bakugo, what the hell?" Izuku said as he got weaker, started bleeding, and blood came out of the corners of his mouth. "What the hell is your game?" Gaia said as multiple spikes shot from the ground as they stopped inches from Bakugo's throat. "You may be Shigaraki's objective to retrieve, but butting in my fights is something I do not accept," Gaia said, pissed. "Gaia, stop that this instance. Our objective is complete. Now let's go," Kurohige stated. "Fine, I'll forgive it this once, but the next time you do this you are dead, you hear?" Gaia said, pissed as Bakugo nodded. "I'm sorry, Izuku. This isn't what I wanted. We'll have to postpone our fight until some other time," Gaia said kindly towards him as Bakugo walked towards Kurohige. "Get back here," Izuku said as the spike disappeared from his stomach. "We aren't done here, I'll take you both on," Izuku stated as he was wobbly on his feet. "Heal up, I need you at your best when we fight again," Gaia said. Bakugo however turned around and shot his AP shot at Izuku. This however was blocked by a wall mixed of fire and air. "I won't allow you to harm him any further, he is mine to kill," Gaia said. 2. "Now stop testing me or I'll really kill you," Gaia said, pissed. "Tell me, Bakugo," Izuku started. Why did you turn to them?" Izuku asked as he fell to a knee. "Why wouldn't I? They have so much freedom to use their quirk. Heroes are the same as villains. The only difference is that heroes are allowed to harm others at some point, while villains just do as they please. My power has much more freedom at this side, and this way, I can do whatever the hell I want to," Bakugo stated as he turned around. "So you are really going towards the villains just so you get more freedom to hurt others? Did the bullying you did to others because you got so arrogant from your quirk took you that far?" Izuku stated, pissed as he got up. "Bullying? That was just warm up to what I'm going to do from now on. Now I can feel the thrill of killing people that think they are all high and mighty, and I get to kill people that look down on me," Bakugo shouted as he had a creepy smile. "I'll never forgive you. Weren't you pissed when they killed my mother/your aunt?" Izuku shouted. "How did you think they found out where you lived?" Bakugo answered. Izuku then completely broke as he fell to his knees. His mind had completely been broken. "No way, so it's because of you my mother was killed?" Izuku then shouted. "It was me who informed them that you were recovering and couldn't stay out for half a day. I also told them to attack the beach over there because you would take the hit," Bakugo said as he pointed at Nejire. "I then showed them where you lived. I even blew the door open for them," Bakugo said with a grin. 3. "I'll never forgive you for this," Izuku said as he suddenly got up while his eyes were covered by his hair. Suddenly a burst of energy was released from Izuku. "Incredible," Gaia said silently as he saw and felt the change in Izuku's power. "You really think you can do anything in that?" 𝗵𝘃𝐲 started but was cut off as he got a powerful kick to the face which made him fly high up in the air, but once Izuku kicked him up it made a lot of air pressure around him. Izuku then jumped up as he kneed 𝗵𝘃𝐲 in the stomach, making 𝗵𝘃𝐲 cough BLD. Izuku then grabbed 𝗵𝘃𝐲's face as he smashed it hard into the ground. Is the regret from you action sinking in? Izuku shouted as he grabbed 𝗵𝘃𝐲's hair as he pulled him out. He then changed his hand from the hair to 𝗵𝘃𝐲's throat. He grabbed it firmly as he kept giving powerful blows to 𝗵𝘃𝐲's stomach. 𝗵𝘃𝐲 coughed a lot of BLD from all the hits Izuku placed on him. He eventually fell unconscious. 𝗬𝗏𝗏, taking the easy way out of his beating by falling unconscious. Izuku then threw him up as he gave a heavy kick to the head as 𝗵𝘃𝐲 landed in front of Kurojiri. Take him away before I kill him, Izuku stated. Everyone was terrified by what 𝗵𝘃𝐲 had said but even more by Izuku's reaction. Gaia, however, was amazed. That's it. That's the power. He shouted excited. Keep that power. Improve even more. That way we can enjoy our next fight even more. Gaia said as he looked like he was insane. For he then lifted 𝗵𝘃𝐲 with his wind as he threw him through the portal like a sack of potatoes, as he slowly followed behind it. Lastly, Kurojiri disappeared as well. Everyone was frozen in place after everything that happened. Mirio managed to slowly take a few steps closer as Izuku fell to a knee. Izuku, are you, damn knee? He shouted as he punched the ground with all his power, which created a crater as it broke the ground as it shot up at multiple places. After that, Izuku fell unconscious. Izuku collapsed in front of his friends as he had been pierced by Gaia's move because he was attacked in the back from 𝗵𝘃𝐲. Izuku was pissed, but most of all, he was broken. Not only did his friend betray him, Izuku also learned the painful truth about 𝗵𝘃𝐲 and his mother's death. Mirio had quickly brought Izuku to Recovery Girl as he was bleeding a lot and had a life-threatening wound. Recovery Girl quickly did an operation on him to completely clean his wound as well as stitch it. Mirio, Aizawa, Nejire, Kirishima and Ida together with Aizawa and Nizu were watching Izuku as Recovery Girl had treated him. I healed his body, but there is no telling how he will be once he wakes up. He's in worse shape than when he learned about his mother's death, and then I mean both physically and mentally. Recovery Girl stated. I can't believe one of our students has done those acts. I just can't believe it, Nizu said as he still couldn't accept it. And one of my students at that, Aizawa said as he gritted his teeth. Izuku, Nejire said worried. At this moment, I don't know how he's doing it, but he's keeping himself unconscious, Recovery Girl stated. What? Aizawa asked shocked. Yes, normally he would be awake by now, he has enough energy and his wounds have healed. Yet no matter what I do I don't get any response from him. He completely closed himself off from us, she explained. Is there any way to get him out of such a state? Ida asked. I honestly have no idea, and I don't know if that would be such a good idea, especially after everything he learned, she said. Well, that's true, but still, we need him, but most of all he needs us. We have to help him somehow. Nejire stated. Yes, but how will we stop him if he goes on a rampage? Mirio asked with a sad face. After that they left the room for the day as they couldn't do anything for him at this point. Nejire, Mirio and Tamaki decided to talk a bit more before going to bed. Mostly Mirio and Tamaki were comforting Nejire as she was very worried about Izuku. I just can't believe what happened back there. The person that was his childhood friend, probably even his best friend, not even betrayed him but made sure he got stabbed and was partly to blame for Izuku's mother's death. Mirio said. Let's just hope he wakes up okay, Tamaki said. I know if either of you did that to me, I would be broken as well as be in anger, Nejire stated. Well, he surely has anger. We saw ourselves how he dealt with 𝗵𝘃𝐲. I've never seen Izuku like that. Hell, it gave me a shiver to my spine, Mirio stated as he got cold while remembering what happened. Well, no point in remembering all that as it will only make everything worse. Let's go to bed and see how Izuku is doing tomorrow, Tamaki said as they all agreed and went to bed. The next morning they walked towards the nurse's office when they suddenly heard ruckus. Izuku calmed down. They heard someone shout, but right as they wanted to run towards the door they heard someone scream. Then all of a sudden there was a big explosion as the building broke down and Kirishima was thrown through the door in his hardened state. Kirishima. What's going on? Mirio asked. Izuku woke up, and he isn't happy, Kirishima explained. They quickly ran in as the place was completely broken down and Izuku was pissed off. Izuku, calm down, Mirio shouted. Izuku ignored him as he walked outside. Where is he going? Tamaki asked. No idea, but it's dangerous to let him go like that, Mirio said as they ran after him. Izuku jumped towards the city as Mirio and his friends got outside. Nejire, follow him through the air. Tamaki, come with me and get as many teachers as you can, Mirio said as they parted ways. Nejire saw Izuku jump from building to building. He only had a pants on as his shirt was off because of the wounds he had. Izuku then suddenly landed as it created an explosion and a crater in the city. Once Izuku reached him, she saw he was surrounded by a group of villains. A villain ran at him from behind as he just backslapped the guy and almost broke his neck as he was shot through a wall. Izuku then just smashed the ground as the ground broke up and shot the villains up in the air. Izuku then disappeared as he appeared again in front of every villain, easily taking them down. Is that really Izuku? Nejire said silently as she saw him jump away again. This time he appeared again, but at a bigger fight. 𝗏𝗃 was fighting together with 𝗏𝗄𝐺 to take down villains, but Izuku landing in the middle of it took their attention as well as the villains' attention. Izuku, stop. Calm down already, Nejire shouted as 𝗏𝗃 and 𝗏𝗄𝐺 looked at her. Izuku Midoriya, 𝗏𝗃 asked silently. I've heard of him. He's supposed to place others in front of himself and always risking himself. I heard he saved that girl up there on his first day of UA and fought through in villain's hideout while having an exhausted body. I also heard he took down the Gnoma design to kill All Might, 𝗏𝗄𝐺 explained. Is that really him? He added. What happened to him? 𝗏𝗃 asked Nejire as she landed. A lot, too much to explain for now, but he has to calm down. He's lost control of his rage, Nejire explained. That's not good, 𝗏𝗄𝐺 said. Izuku then slowly walked towards the villains. What do you want, punk? The leader shouted as Izuku suddenly shot forwards just inches away from the leader as he uppercut him. Izuku then made an air cut by kicking in the air as it shot everyone back. He's insanely powerful, 𝗏𝗄𝐺 stated. He really is, but it's dangerous to let him run wild like this. For now his attention is on villains, but what if that turns, 𝗏𝗃 stated. He then used his quirk on Izuku to trap him as 𝗏𝗄𝐺 quickly ran close and used his shockwaves on Izuku to immobilize him. Izuku was slowly breaking free. Back off, he shouted as a burst of energy was released as he broke free. The burst of energy pushed 𝗏𝗄𝐺 back as Izuku jumped towards him and punched 𝗏𝗄𝐺 in the gut. 𝗏𝗄𝐺 was now hanging on Izuku's fist as the punch knocked him out. Izuku then turned to 𝗏𝗃 as he launched towards him. Izuku, stop! Nejire shouted as she jumped in front of 𝗏𝗃. Izuku's fist stopped just an inch away from Nejire's face as he was visibly struggling to hold back. Izuku then jumped away. Stay with him, for some reason he can't attack you. I think you are the only one able to stop him right now, 𝗏𝗃 said as Nejire quickly followed. Izuku took multiple villain hideouts out as he destroyed them in a matter of seconds. Nejire kept following him as fast as she could as suddenly All Might showed up. Young Nejire, where is Izuku? He asked as suddenly another explosion happened from Izuku's landing. They quickly made their way towards him. Young Izuku, just what happened to you? All Might asked as he saw Izuku. He was panting but anger pushed him forward. Wait, Nejire said as she saw villains crawl from underneath the rubble. What is it? All Might asked. Izuku has been attacked villain hideouts. What if he's actually looking to get revenge on Bakugo? She asked terrified. Izuku, please, come back to me. She shouted. Leave me alone. The person I thought was my best friend, he even supported me when my mother died, even while he was the reason. The person I trusted the most has stabbed me in the back. So how can I trust anyone else? Izuku shouted in anger. I'll kill him. Izuku shouted as he jumped away again. All Might and Nejire quickly followed him. Izuku then suddenly got pushed down towards the ground by something. Nejire and All Might quickly got towards Izuku as they saw 𝐒𝐻𝐵 standing in front of him. Move, Izuku! Did what happened yesterday really have such an impact on you? 𝗧𝐬𝐽 asked as he looked sad. I said move. Izuku shouted. Calm down already, you won't be able to get past me, let alone beat me. I don't want to fight you, not like this. I want to fight the Izuku I have fought so far, the one that pushed himself to protect his friends, the Izuku that had real power, not this rage, 𝗧𝐬𝐽 stated. Suddenly All Might jumped down as Izuku landed next to 𝗧𝐬𝐽. Thanks for pushing him down, Nejire stated. You know I'm the enemy, right? 𝗧𝐬𝐽 asked as he looked at Nejire. I don't care about that now, you pushed Izuku down. If you didn't he would still be rampaging. Nejire stated. So it's that bad, 𝗧𝐬𝐽 stated. Bakugo was his childhood friend, and also his best friend. Bakugo supported him more than anyone, so it really had an impact when Izuku learned that Bakugo faked everything and was actually to blame for his mother's death. Nejire explained. Scumbag, 𝗧𝐬𝐽 said, gritting his teeth. I may have joined the League of Villains, but that's just to fight Izuku at full power head-on. People like that Bakugo brats piss me off, 𝗧𝐬𝐽 said as suddenly All Might clashed with Izuku. Their fists met but Izuku was easily pushing All Might back. I almost killed the symbol of peace before without him ever reaching me, but I was never able to overwhelm him like this, 𝗧𝐬𝐽 stated as he placed a small wall underneath All Might's feet to support him. Izuku then suddenly got close to All Might as he punched All Might's wound in his side as All Might then dropped to his knees coughing a lot of blood with just one hit. All Might coughed. Suddenly 𝗧𝐬𝐽 walked towards Izuku as he blew him back with wind. Wait, no, don't. Please don't kill him. Nejire shouted. 𝗧𝐬𝐽 turned around and smiled then turned back to Izuku. Izuku charged at 𝗧𝐬𝐽 as he put up a wall to block Izuku. Izuku crashed his fist into the wall but slowly broke through as he kept pushing while screaming. He really has a lot more power than he first had, 𝗧𝐬𝐽 stated as suddenly he used water from his surrounding to nullify Izuku's punch. Because of the soft water his punch slowed down and lost its power. Izuku then kicked but the water stopped it again. Izuku then tried a barrage of punches but 𝗧𝐬𝐽 spreaded the water out to block a wider field. 𝗧𝐬𝐽 then shot fire spears towards Izuku but those were deflected. 𝗧𝐬𝐽 then surrounded Izuku with a cyclone but when he did they heard loud clashes as it didn't take Izuku long to break through it. Will you trust me on this? 𝗧𝐬𝐽 asked. What do you mean? Nejire asked. What I'm about to do is going to seem very scary, but you'll have to trust me on this one. I'm not going to kill him, not in this way. I want to fight him when he's sane and full power but not like this, 𝗧𝐽𝐽 stated. Izuku then charged again as he raised another wall but powered it up as he placed a flaming cyclone around it to power his defenses. So tell me, do you trust me on this? 𝗧𝐽𝐽 asked again as he looked at Nejire. Just this once, she said as 𝗧𝐽𝐽 nodded. I'm sorry Izuku, 𝗧𝐽𝐽 said as he placed his water on Izuku's head. Izuku was in panic as he tried getting rid of the water as he was slowly choking on it. Nejire found it painful to watch. You'll only have a slight opening after this. Calm him down, I know you can, 𝗧𝐽𝐽 stated. Wait, but how? Nejire asked confused. Just do what you think is right. Do it now. 𝗧𝐽𝐽 shouted as he took his water away as Izuku was about to fall forwards panting but then 𝗧𝐽𝐽 shot the ground up as it held Izuku in place. Nejire quickly flew towards him. Instead of saying anything she just hugged him tightly. Izuku was panting and trying to break free at first but once Nejire hugged him he slowly calmed down. He was still panting but wasn't struggling to break free anymore. If you hadn't calmed him down, then he would have broken free in just a few seconds with that strength of his, 𝗧𝐽𝐽 stated. And if you act on impulse on the last second, you do what you want to do the most, that way you were able to convert your feelings to him, 𝗧𝐽𝐽 explained. Thank you, Nejire said without giving him a glance. I'll leave the rest to you then, I'll see him sometime in the future, then we can have a serious fight again, without interruptions this time, 𝗧𝐽𝐽 said as he walked away. Izuku, please calm down already, it hurts me so much seeing you like this, Nejire said. Shut up. How can I trust anyone when my best friend made my own mother die? Izuku shouted. So just because one person betrayed you, you turn out like this, she shouted back. If you can't trust me, or even hate me because I am human too, then go ahead and kill me right now. Nejire stated as she stood in front of him and blasted the ground away from around him with her quirk. If you really hate people and me, and if you can't trust us, then kill me right here and now. If not, then come back to me, Nejire said as she held her arms open and closed her eyes. That's a dangerous game you are playing right now, young Nejire, All Might whispered. One Izuku then slowly walked closer to her as he held up a fist right in front of her. All Might wanted to shout to Izuku to not do it, but then Izuku just broke down as he cried as he placed his face on her chest. She placed her hand behind his head as he fell to his knees. She also got to her knees as she held him close to her. Just let it all out, I'm here, I'll always will be, Nejire stated. It's just so painful, Izuku stated as he gritted his teeth. She felt his power burst from inside him as she held him close. She felt there was a fight deep inside him and he couldn't control all the power. Izuku then pushed her away as another burst of energy was inside of Izuku as he was struggling to hold himself back. Izuku then screamed as loud as he could as he then punched the floor with every drop of his energy, creating an enormous crater. Nejire then walked towards him as she sat back on her knees beside him as she placed his head on her chest again while holding him. That's good, let it all out, your anger, your sadness, everything that builded up inside of you. Let it out, sweet Izuku, she whispered in his ear as she then placed her head on his. I never knew Izuku held such power. All Might was amazed when he saw the enormous crater from just one punch. Nejire was patting Izuku's head as he just gave in more and more as he became weaker and weaker in her arms. Are you calming down? Nejire said in a soft voice as he slowly nodded. Are you okay now? She asked as he shook his head. After a while she asked him. Shall we go back to UA? Everyone is worried about you, you know. She stated. Izuku then grabbed her arm as she wanted to get up. Please, let me stay like this. Just a bit longer. Izuku asked as she stayed like that. A bit later Izuku then fell asleep. She held him close to herself as she softly and slowly used her quirk to fly outside the crater. Are you alright, All Might? She asked. I am. How is Izuku? He asked. He's completely drained. If you are up for it, shall we go back to you? She asked. Sure, I'm well enough to move back, he said as he got up. Shall I take him? He asked. Nejire looked down and noticed he was still grabbing her arm even asleep. It's alright, I can take him with my quirk, he's not that heavy, she joked. They quickly made their way back as Nejire tried to fly as quickly but softly as possible so he wouldn't have too much wind in his face and wouldn't get too cold. All Might took another direction as he was slowly gathering all the teachers and telling them Izuku had calmed down. Nejire then arrived at UA as she then brought him to his dorm. Mirio and Tamaki were there as well waiting for them. They all quickly ran towards Nejire and Izuku when she walked in with him. She immediately made sure they had to be quiet. I'll bring him to his room, he's exhausted, and someone has to look after him specially now, so I will, Nejire stated as everyone nodded. She quickly took him upstairs and placed him on his bed. Right as she wanted to walk away to get some stuff, Izuku woke up and grabbed her arm. Please stay, don't want to be alone, Izuku said in a sad tone. Don't worry, I'm just going to grab a few things and something to eat for you, then I'll be back, she said as she walked towards him and kissed his forehead. Nejire then grabbed some stuff downstairs as well as some food for Izuku as she then quickly headed up. Hey, I'm back, she said in a sweet tone. Izuku sat on his bed with his knees towards his face but his face buried inside them. He looked up when he heard that she was back. Here, eat this. I'll be back in a sec, just going to change, she said as she walked towards the personal bathroom every dorm room had. Once she walked out, she was walking in her pajamas. Why are you wearing those in the middle of the day? Izuku asked, confused after he ate his food. Because I'm going to stay with you, silly. I'm not going to leave you alone, especially not now, she said as she sat on his bed. I figured you wanted to stay in your room, so I just put on something comfortable, she added. Izuku laid down as Nejire laid next to him. They were both facing each other as Nejire placed her arms around him as he placed his face on her chest. Thank you for being here for me. I'm glad I have you with me, Izuku stated. Don't worry about it, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I love you, Izuku, and I always will no matter what, Nejire stated as Izuku then slowly fell asleep against her. I love you too, Nejire, he said before he fell asleep in her arms. Izuku had finally regained himself after a long time. He was able to think straight again and was able to use his power without losing control. Izuku also started training again as Nejire always watched over him as he was training, but she noticed that he was way different if he got serious. He became colder as well as more silent. But he still was her Izuku, the Izuku she fell in love with. Nejire never wants to leave Izuku again no matter what happens, and she doesn't want him to leave her no matter what. She was watching over his training again as Mirio suddenly walked up. "I see he's training again," Mirio said as Tamaki slowly followed him. "Yeah, he's really gotten strong, but he's also kind of scary now when he gets serious," Nejire stated. "Well, that's not surprising considering everything he went through," Mirio stated as they looked at Izuku. "Izuku, can you come here a sec?" Tamaki called for Izuku as he walked up to them. "Hey guys, didn't notice you were here." "Sorry," Izuku said as he walked towards them. "Don't worry, we just arrived," Tamaki said. "So what's up? What did you want to talk about?" Izuku asked. "We've been thinking," Tamaki started. "We want to spar with you," Mirio finished as it took Izuku by surprise. "Where did that come from?" Izuku asked confused. "You have been fighting on your own all this time. We want to know how strong we are as a team, and we want to get stronger to back you up," Mirio said as Nejire stood up. "We've had it with sitting on the sidelines as you get hurt. From now on we want to fight together with you. Please spar with the three of us, that way we know just how strong we are, and we can improve to help you," Nejire stated determined. "Alright, sure, on 2 conditions," Izuku stated. "And those are?" Mirio asked. "1, Gaia is mine. Aizawa has to approve it and give us a place to spar," Izuku stated. "Alright, we can agree on the second one, but why a one-on-one with Gaia?" Mirio asked. "We decided to fight one-on-one fair and square without interruptions, and he won't stop being a villain unless I beat him that way. He's not a real villain, he just wants to fight me at full strength. That's why he's mine," Izuku explained. "Alright, we'll accept that," Nejire stated as she then pulled his arm towards the teacher's office. Mirio and Tamaki walked beside her as she pulled Izuku with her. As they reached the teacher's office, they saw that the teachers were actually in a meeting but stopped as they saw the big 3 pulling Izuku with them. "Can we help you with something?" Aizawa asked. "Well, yes, actually, we asked Izuku a question but he said you had to approve," Mirio explained towards Aizawa as they all got interested now. Meanwhile, Midnight and Snipe had an idea of what was going on. "Go on," Aizawa stated. "We want to spar with Izuku, we don't want to sit on the sidelines any longer, we want to fight by his side from now on, and this way we'll know just how strong we are as a team as well as how to improve ourselves to help Izuku in battle," Nejire explained. All the teachers except for Midnight and Snipe were shocked to hear that as they got wide eyes. Midnight and Snipe were just smiling. "Let's grant them this, Aizawa," Midnight said with a smile. "I for one want to see this fight," she added. "So do I," Snipe said. "You sure about this, Izuku? Fighting the top 3 as a team isn't as easy as you might think. It's going to be harder than your fight with All Might, and considering everything that happened," Aizawa started. "They are determined to do this, and I can't let them down now. Also about me, I'm all good," Izuku said with a smile. "Alright then, do you have any place you prefer to fight?" Aizawa asked. "Not really, but since you guys already want to watch and I bet many others wanted too, maybe somewhere where there can be spectators." Mirio thought out loud. "Well, why not use the stadium for the sports festival? We only use it once a year, and there are a lot of seats for everyone that wants to watch," Midnight stated. "There is also a lot of space so you can fight freely," 𝗬𝗵𝗲 added. "You alright with that, Aizawa?" Mirio asked as Aizawa nodded. "What about you, Izuku?" he then asked Izuku. "Sure, no problem," he said with a smile. "Alright then, it's settled, I'll get you permission to use it for tomorrow," Midnight said as she stood up and walked out. Izuku also walked off as he walked back to his dorm to take a shower. Once he walked out of the bathroom with just a towel around him, he saw Nejire waiting for him with a smile looking towards him. "Hey, what are you doing here?" Izuku asked confused. "Well, I'm staying with you, aren't I?" she said innocently. They walked towards his room as they talked a bit more. "2, did you know they were going to challenge me?" Izuku asked Nejire. "No, but I had a feeling they would, and I wanted to," Nejire stated. "Well, just know I won't make it easy for you guys just because I care about you," Izuku stated confident. Only if you can actually do something, Nejire teased. They teased each other more like that as well as talked some more. The day passed quickly. I wonder where Mirio and Tamaki went. After you left, so did they. I turned around and they were just gone. Normally they also come here for a bit, but they haven't been here, Nejire stated. Now that you mention it, I haven't seen them either, Izuku stated. Are you sure you want to fight us like this though? Isn't the license exam next week? What if we accidentally hurt you? Nejire asked worried. I have been close to death and even pushed myself through harsher moments. Don't worry about it, Izuku stated as he laughed. It was already late, so Izuku and Nejire decided to sleep. Nejire snuggled close to Izuku as she fell asleep while Izuku held his arm around her. I'm actually pretty excited to fight them. I don't know why though, Izuku thought as he suddenly fell asleep. The next morning arrived as Izuku and Nejire were woken up by a few knocks on the door. Good morning, sleepyheads. Mirio yelled as he pushed his head through the door with his quirk. Morning to you too, Izuku said as he barely opened his eyes. Nejire however threw a pillow at him as she was still tired. Come on you too, it's almost time, Mirio said as he disappeared again. Izuku and Nejire quickly got up, put their clothes on, took some food and left. The common area was empty, but it was still early as everyone would still be sleeping. Izuku and Nejire made their way towards the sports festival arena as they saw Mirio, Tamaki and Aizawa waiting. Good morning, Izuku said as they arrived. Aizawa, I have one more request, Izuku quickly added. You want to use hero suits, right? Aizawa asked as he gave Izuku and Nejire their bags. Knowing you, I knew you would ask, so I brought them in advance, Aizawa stated with a grin as they walked in. They all quickly changed as they then walked towards the field. Once they entered, they heard a big crowd cheering. I knew people would want to watch this, but this is nuts, Izuku said as he looked around. Every seat was filled and there was even a camera crew. Well, it's the big three of UA versus the person that beat the symbol of peace, All Might. Who wouldn't want to see this? Most people know us and have also heard great stories about you, Mirio stated. All four of them looked around as they also saw Ryukyu, Fat Gum and Night Eye in the stands. Izuku noticed them too but didn't know who they were at the time. 3. Well guys, are you ready? 𝗬𝗏𝗄 asked. Yeah, we are, Izuku stated as the others nodded. Normally I would make a field where you could fight, but I'd figured you guys wanted to use the whole space, so I took the field away. Everything until the stance is your field now, 𝗬𝗏𝗄 explained. Izuku then jumped towards the other side of the field. There were mics around the whole field so everyone at the stadium could hear them as well as the people at home. Izuku, why did you jump all of a sudden? Nejire asked. We're going to fight, are we not? Izuku stated confident. I'm not going to go easy on you, Izuku stated as he took a stance with a smile. Mirio and Tamaki got ready as well as Nejire floated up. Mirio and Tamaki ran towards Izuku as Nejire charged her quirk as she then shot it. Izuku deflected it, but right as her move disappeared, two tentacles showed up just inches away from him. He quickly backflipped as Mirio then showed up behind him trying to punch him. Izuku managed to move himself mid-air somehow as he just barely dodged Mirio's punch. But instead of giving him any time, Tamaki this time launched the nose of a swordfish at Izuku trying to cut him. Izuku grabbed the nose of the swordfish, but right as he wanted to pull it towards him, Mirio appeared right in front of him. Instead of attacking, he just smiled as then suddenly Nejire's attack went through him. Izuku blocked it as he was then grabbed by a tentacle to keep him in place. Tamaki's swordfish arm was launched at Izuku again as Nejire shot her quirk at Izuku again. Izuku grabbed the nose again as he held back Nejire's quirk with his bare hand. Mirio then shot from the ground again trying to attack Izuku, but Izuku used Nejire her attack to push Mirio's arm away as he then kicked Mirio away, then grabbed the swordfish with two hands, spinned Tamaki around as he threw him towards Nejire. She caught Tamaki, but then Izuku had disappeared from their sight as they were suddenly punched towards the ground. The crowd cheered loudly. Izuku was lightly panting, but so were the big three. Damn, you three certainly don't make it easy for me. I barely have time to react to anything you do. I was lucky enough to counter for once though, Izuku said as he regained his breathing. Well, you are insanely fast to keep up with our combo moves, Mirio said. Well, Your combo plays sure are amazing, you just lack one thing, Izuku stated as he got ready. And what would that be? Mirio asked as he too got ready while Tamaki suddenly got bird wings on his back, as Nejire flew up too. Tamaki can change everything in his body to what he eats, but lately he improved his quirk so much that he can use anything he's eaten before no matter how long it has been in this fanfic too. Decisive power to finish it, Izuku said as he disappeared and appeared in front of Mirio who managed to block Izuku. Not bad, Izuku stated. Then watch this, Mirio said as he grabbed Izuku's arm while Tamaki grabbed Izuku with two tentacles as Nejire shot her quirk at full power right at his chest, but once she did, Mirio threw a punch at the same place to increase the damage. The impact of both the attacks made Izuku fly away as he landed ruggedly on the floor. I see, not bad, but you'll have to keep creating openings like that, because the same trick won't work twice, Izuku stated as he then closed his eyes. What is he doing? He heard someone ask. Since he closed his eyes he could see everything like a map in his head. The man that asked had glasses and looked like a normal businessman. Izuku then smiled as he saw Mirio going underground again as well as Nejire up in the air, aiming for an attack from 3 different heights. Let's see how they'll do, Izuku thought as he suddenly felt Mirio appear behind Izuku, trying to give a low sweep as Tamaki transformed his arms to the nose of an elephant as he tried to hit Izuku with it while Nejire had her arms each to a side as she threw 2 shots from her quirk at the same time as they curled towards Izuku. 8. Not too bad what you're doing, but... Izuku opened his eyes as he got serious. Not good enough, he said as a big burst of energy pushed them all away together with their attacks. The crowd went wild as they saw it. So you finally got serious, huh? Mirio said smirking. However, Izuku strangely didn't respond. Tamaki launched his elephant nose arms first at Izuku as he just grabbed them while he was pushed back a few inches. He pulled the arms closer as he punched Tamaki in the face, launching him into the wall. 2. Izuku was facing Nejire with his back as he made an extremely high backflip to reach Nejire. Right as he flipped he kicked her on the head, but he was moving too fast for her to respond as she took the full force of the attack as she then crashed into the ground. Izuku landed and immediately disappeared as he punched Mirio between the lungs making him fall down. The winner is Izuku Midoriya. Midnight shouted as everyone cheered loudly. Izuku took a deep breath as he calmed down. Mirio, Tamaki and Nejire slowly got up although it was wobbly. You guys okay? Izuku asked as he gave a weak smile. Yeah, but man you really are fast and strong, we barely noticed you coming, Mirio explained. Well you did make me go serious on you, Izuku stated. That really was an amazing display of power you did there, they heard someone say as someone jumped from the roof. But I know you are stronger than that, 𝗧𝗓 stated as he landed. The big 3 took a stance to fight him but then remembered their promise to Izuku. Hey 𝗧𝗓, before anything else, I want to thank you. I heard from Nejire that you stopped me when I was going on a rampage, so thank you for that, Izuku stated as it took literally everyone including 𝗧𝗓 by surprise. You're a strange one, but you're welcome. I just didn't want it to end for you like that, since I'll be the one to end you once we fight for real, 𝗧𝗓 stated. So you came here to fight then? Izuku asked as he just stood there relaxed. You know, for someone who expects to fight, you are awfully calm and relaxed, 𝗧𝗓 said as he gave a grin. But no, not today, kid. I just came here because I heard about this fight and wanted to see you fight in person, and I have to admit you impress me with your growth, 𝗧𝗓 stated. Well thanks, I am aiming to beat you after all, Izuku said with a grin. Well, hearing you say that really fires me up, but we're not gonna fight today, we'll leave that for some other time, 𝗧𝗓 stated as he walked off. 𝗧𝗓, Izuku shouted making him turn around. Once we'll fight it will be just you and me. Nobody else. Izuku stated as he held his fist up towards him. 𝗧𝗓 gave an amused smile as he threw his punch towards Izuku making a light fist of air fly towards Izuku as it fist bumped his fist. That's for sure, I don't care about spectators, however I do want to beat you in a fair fight, 𝗧𝗓 explained as he turned around again to walk away. But right after he did the crowd went wild by that challenge and statement. Guess you got yourself some fans, Izuku said with a big grin as 𝗧𝗓 looked around in surprise. Well, see you later, Izuku, 𝗧𝗓 said as he left. See you later, 𝗧𝗓. I'll be waiting, Izuku answered him. After that, Some of the heroes praised the big three and Izuku for their fight as three heroes suddenly walked towards them. "Hey Izuku, we want to introduce you to the agencies we work at," 𝗵𝗲𝗄 stated. "This man right here is Night-Eye," 𝗵𝗲𝗄 stated as he stood next to a businessman with a creepy stare in his eyes. "This here is Ryukyu," Nejire said as she stood next to a blonde woman. "And this is 𝗵𝗃𝗻𝗲 said as he stood next to a big fat man. "Hello, my name is Izuku Midoriya," Izuku said as he bowed towards them. "We know that's why we came here," 𝗵𝗃𝗻 said. "Wait, you didn't come for the match?" Tamaki asked. "We did come for the match. We had to support the students that work at our agency, of course, but knowing you would be fighting him, we just had to come and speak to him in real," Ryukyu added in. "Izuku Midoriya, I believe Aizawa told you that someone asked for your assistance and that you should get your hero license as soon as possible. Am I right?" Night-Eye asked. "He did. I got the exam next week, and I'm planning on getting my license," Izuku said confident. "But how did you know about all that?" Izuku then asked confused. "We were the people that asked for your assistance," 𝗵𝗃𝗻 said. "Is there somewhere we can speak in private?" Night-Eye asked. "Sure, follow me," 𝗵𝗲𝗄 said as he led the way towards the waiting rooms. "Normally participants wait here once the sports festival is around, but we can use it to talk now," 𝗵𝗲𝗄 explained. "Alright, that's good," Night-Eye said as they all walked in and sat down around the table. "First I want to ask you a question," Night-Eye stated as he sat down. "Sure, go ahead," Izuku said. "I noticed that when you were fighting, you suddenly closed your eyes. Strangely, your movements got more precise when you did that. Then when you had your eyes open, what did you do? How were you able to know exactly what all three of them were doing with your eyes closed? Predicting is one thing, but predicting three people and respond with precise movements is almost impossible, because there is no guarantee they will actually do what you predict. Not even I with my foresight can do such a thing," Night-Eye stated. "Well, first I have to explain that my quirk is enhance. It literally enhances everything, my body, my mind as well as my senses. I train my senses so much that I can sense people, object, actually everything around me. If my eyes are open I can just feel it, but if I close my eyes I can actually see it from my head as if I'm watching from above. It's like I can see every movement in my head, and thanks to my speed I'm able to respond instantly towards what I see that way. I also heard that you were wondering what I was doing," Izuku stated. "As for the reason my attacks become more precise, that actually has two reasons. One is the one I just told you. Since I can see anything in my head, I can just concentrate on those three and see them move all at once. I can see their location, the way they move, everything. I was even able to spot 𝗵𝗲𝗄 the moment just his hair popped out of the ground. As for the second reason, it's because I got serious at that time. I can do a lot as I am right now, but going serious is like entering another state of some sort," Izuku explained. "3, I see. That could really be useful for our mission," Ryukyu said. "I also heard you were the one that saved Nejire when she was locked away by villains," she added. "That's true. I used my senses to move in the dark and avoid the enemies. It did end up in a fight, but we managed to escape luckily," Izuku explained. "Izuku, tell me, once you get your license, what would you think of working for my agency? You'll have a work study first, but I'd really like you on board when you graduate together with 𝗵𝗲𝗄," Night-Eye stated seriously. "Wow Izuku, this is an amazing offer," 𝗵𝗲𝗄 stated. "Can I hold on to answer that right now?" Izuku asked, which shocked everyone. "Sure, the offer will stay as it is, but may I ask why?" Night-Eye asked. "I want to help you with your mission, that's for sure. If I can help someone with my quirk then I'd love to help. As for the work studies I'll gladly do that, but I can't guarantee that I'll be able to work for you later on," Izuku explained. "And why is that?" Night-Eye asked as this explanation got him curious. "Because I don't know if I'll be alive by then," Izuku stated as they all got wide eyes. "I know you are all wondering why I say this now. The reason is Gaia. He wants to fight my one-on-one at full power. If he wins I'll die. If I win he'll join the hero's side," Izuku explained. "But he is so incredibly powerful. Every time I think about it my body starts to shake," Izuku added. "He has the power to destroy the world if he would go on a rampage, and he controls the 4 elements almost perfectly," Izuku stated. "I've heard about him before," Ryukyu stated. Nejire told me about it. She also told me about the first time you two fought that it terrified her. May I ask what happened? Ryukyu asked. Well, to state it bluntly, I was annihilated. Izuku said as they got wide eyes again. It was my mission to try and get him to the hero's side, but to do that I had to beat him. I fought him for an entire night as he only blocked me. He annihilated me before I could even touch him once, Izuku explained. Nejire and the others found me when I got launched into UA as I was close to death. He spared me that time because when he wanted to attack Nejire I landed a few blows trying to protect her, Izuku explained further. I see, so that's what happened, Ryukyu said as she had sweat rolling down her face after hearing all that. Can you beat him? Night I asked. To be completely honest, I'm not sure. I'd like to believe I can, but at this point I'm not sure. I don't know if he ever went a 100% on me, and even if he did, he never used his water element on me, which means he did hold back one of the 4 elements from me. Izuku explained. 2. Still I'm not planning on dying, but I just can't make future promises with all this in mind, Izuku explained. I understand. I'm glad you want to help with our mission and want to start a work study with us, Night Eye said with a smile. For now we'll take our leave. Good luck on your exam, Night Eye stated as they walked away. Izuku also left slowly as the big 3 were just at a loss for words at the moment. After that the week went like usual, lessons and trainings, until it was the day for the exam. So we're finally here, Izuku stated as he glanced at the building where it would be held. Well kids, time to get your licenses. If you make it, you'll become semi-pros and you'll be able to do hero work on the streets like real pros, so go in there and make UA and your families proud, Aizawa stated as he walked inside with them. 5 Everyone got their hero suits on as the exam began. It was divided into 2 tests. The first was the test with the ball. Same as in the anime and will also go kind of the same, except Bakugo not there. Sorry, I don't really know how to change that part up to make it interesting. Points for that I know. As for the second part, it would be a rescue training. Buildings exploded and people acted like injured victims. Izuku had already rescued someone as he brought him to the first aid as then suddenly the wall broke down as 𝗂𝗄𝗄𝗏 appeared. But once he did appear, he just fell over on the ground. What's going on? Someone at the first aid station shouted. 𝗂𝗄𝗄𝗏 is part of the exam, but something's going on, Izuku stated as he closed his eyes to see. Shinso, he shouted then as Shindo ran up to him. What is it? He asked. We'll make the first line, Izuku stated as the smoke cleared down as Bakugo suddenly showed up with more villains. The number 10 hero, and he was easily beaten by me, Bakugo stated as he jumped down. Suddenly multiple warp gates opened up around the first aid station. To Izuku's fear, some strong villains showed up as well as a few nomus. Can I leave the villains to you? Izuku asked. I can hold them off for a while you get those things out of the way, but what about him? Shindo asked as he glanced at Bakugo. Don't worry, if he charges, I'll take care of him, Izuku stated as he got serious and closed his eyes. There were still multiple students at the first aid station. Everyone, bring the injured away. Shindo and I will hold them off, Izuku stated. Are you sure? A girl asked. I am. We have to make sure the injured and innocent people are safe. We can hold them off until the others arrive, Izuku stated. How do we do that? We're surrounded. Someone else shouted in panic as it was his first time in a real villain attack. Leave that to me, Shindo said as he ran towards the villains at the side as he used his quirk to blow them away. After that his body became immobile for a few seconds, but then a Nomu charged at him. Watch out! The girl shouted, but Izuku kicked over Shindo's body as he kicked the Nomu away. Another Nomu attacked the first aid station, but before he could land his blow, Izuku appeared in front of him blocking the punch and kicking him away. Quick go! Izuku stated as he held any incoming threat back while Shinso hammered away at the villains with his quirk. After a while the heroes at the first aid station and the injured got away, as also Class 1A helped them escape. Todoroki and Inasa showed up to support Izuku and Shindo. Izuku was appearing and disappearing like a madman as he blocked all the Nomus from going after the injured, while Inasa and Todoroki were keeping Shindo safe as he used his quirk to hammer away at the villains, but they were slowly getting cornered. How are you guys holding up? Izuku asked. Don't worry about us. We've got enough fight left in us to deal with those. Are you alright with all those 𝗏𝗲s though? Todoroki asked. I'm fine, they are nothing compared to other 𝗏𝗲s I have beaten before, Izuku stated. Is that so? Then you won't mind if I join in on the fun, don't you? 𝗏𝗃𝗀 said as he appeared behind the 𝗏𝗲s. This isn't good, he's not only facing 𝗏𝗲s now but also 𝗏𝗃𝗀. Todoroki said as he wanted to help Izuku but was blocked by a villain's quirk. So you finally showed up, huh? Izuku stated. Don't think I'm the same as before, the boss gave me a nice little present when I joined, let's see if you figure out what it is, 𝗏𝗃𝗀 said as he threw an explosion at Izuku, but it actually created an enormous explosion together with a giant crater. I see, you somehow got another quirk which boosts your destructive power, Izuku stated as he had blocked the explosion. But don't think that I'm like before either, Izuku said as he suddenly disappeared and appeared again at the same spot while all the 𝗏𝗲s just fell down. Not bad, but do you really think it's anything special to beat those things? 𝗏𝗃𝗀 asked. Careful with what you say, Izuku said as he disappeared. I can end you just like I ended them in the blink of an eye, Izuku stated as he appeared again but with his fist just an inch away from 𝗏𝗃𝗀's face. 𝗏𝗃𝗀 smirked and created another explosion as Izuku jumped away. 𝗏𝗃𝗀 then threw an explosion towards Todoroki, Shindo and Inasa. They saw it coming but were too late to get away. Izuku then got in front of them as he quickly blocked it, but at that moment 𝗏𝗃𝗀 quickly flew using his quirk towards the new first aid station. Izuku saw this and quickly followed. 𝗏𝗃𝗀 then threw an enormous explosion towards the first aid station. They saw the explosion coming as Izuku suddenly showed up and kicked it away. I won't let you kill anyone else, or even reach them, Izuku stated. 𝗏𝗃𝗀 wanted to throw another explosion but Izuku suddenly closed the distance as his arm was covered by an air pressure from his speed and power as he blocked the explosion up close which blew 𝗏𝗃𝗀 away. Izuku quickly charged at him as he kicked him into the ground and while spinning heel kicked him in the gut. After that Izuku quickly jumped back. He didn't know if he beat 𝗏𝗃𝗀 or if he would attack. Suddenly 𝗏𝗃𝗀 got up as he aimed his gauntlet at Izuku. You know what this does, right? 𝗏𝗃𝗀 asked as he smirked. What do you think the boosted version can do? He said as he pulled the pin out of it as an insane explosion shot towards Izuku. Watch out! Everyone around shouted but Izuku just held out one arm. The explosion and the arm made contact as it made an insanely huge explosion and smoke. As the smoke cleared they saw Izuku standing there without even so much as a scratch. Your explosions may have gotten bigger, but you're weaker than you have ever been, Izuku stated as he appeared before 𝗏𝗃𝗀 as he punched him between the lungs to make him fall to the floor. After that he kicked 𝗏𝗃𝗀 to the head to get him away from the first aid station. That's enough 𝗏𝗃𝗀, we're going to pull back for now, Kurogiri stated. No way! I came here to kill Izuku. 𝗏𝗃𝗀 shouted as suddenly a tornado of wind shot up between Izuku and 𝗏𝗃𝗀. I thought I told you Izuku is mine to defeat, 𝗧𝗫 said as he suddenly showed up. What do you think you are doing going after my target? 𝗧𝗫 said as he gave a look that gave Izuku the chills. Teeth, fine, have it your way, 𝗏𝗃𝗀 stated as he walked towards Kurogiri. You got lucky this time, Izuku, next time you won't, he said before walking through it. 𝗧𝗫 also went through the gate as they all disappeared. Is everyone alright? Izuku asked as he still had his eyes closed. We are, thanks to you, the girl said with a smile. After that, the exam was finished. At first they wanted to cancel the exam because of the villain attack, but then they thought Gang Orca was supposed to be the attacking villain, but now they witnessed the students acting in a real villain attack which was much more valuable. Everyone gathered up to look at the screen as all the names were displayed who passed. Izuku was looked towards the screen. Some failed as they only freaked out during the entire attack. Izuku then found his name. Izuku Midoriya passed. Izuku and his classmates made it through the exam. They all got their licenses as they all did very good against the villain attack. They also fended off 𝗏𝗃𝗀. However, Izuku's hand palm was burned but he didn't tell anyone. However, he didn't think about someone else when he tried to hide it. After they all came back to you, Inizu, the teachers and the big three were waiting for them in anticipation. So, how did it go? Mike asked as they all cheered and held their licenses up in the air with a cheer. I'm proud of each and every one of you, Inizu stated. Going for a license in just your first year. Not many people do that, and you even had the disadvantage you always has, since everyone watches the sports festival, 𝗧𝗵𝗲 said. I heard the League of Villains showed up though, did everything go alright? Midnight asked. Yeah, thanks to Todoroki and Izuku, together with 2 other students. The task was to rescue victims out of the area, and also deal with villains, but then real ones showed up. Izuku and someone from 𝗬𝗪𝗔𝗂 Academy managed to stop them and make sure the first aid station got placed somewhere else. Izuku did specially good. He fended off multiple nomus, as well as keep the other students safe. He even pushed 𝗵𝘃𝗀 back, whose destructive power has increased. Aizawa explained. 1. So how did that go? 𝗵𝘃𝗀 was already strong as it is, but if his destructive force got more powerful then he should be really dangerous now, Nizu stated. However, Izuku hesitated to respond. Somehow he was weaker than he was at you. Sure, he might have gotten a boost on destructive power, but his attacks had no resolve in them. It was almost like just blowing off steam or just randomly attacking, Izuku stated as he scratched his head. There was a small shock through his body from the pain as he scratched his head with his burned hand. However, it isn't thanks to me. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 wanted to continue. The person that actually stopped everything is 𝗧𝗂𝐫, Izuku stated as they gasped. 𝗧𝗂𝐫 showed up there of all places. Midnight asked. Well, yeah, he did, but he didn't fight, he just told 𝗵𝘃𝗀 that I am his to kill, Izuku stated. I see. Well, you should all go back to your dorm. It's already late and I bet you're all tired from today, Nizu explained with a smile. Everyone decided to talk some more. However, Izuku just walked back to the dorm. Wait for me, Nejire shouted as she ran after him. Everything all right? Nejire asked. I don't know, everything is just so weird. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 was supposed to be a friend and a hero, but he's a villain now and is even responsible for my mother's death. Meanwhile, 𝗧𝗂𝐫 is supposed to be our enemy but has stopped the villains, and helped me a few times now. It's all so confusing, Izuku said as he just walked to his dorm. Well, it's no use thinking about it that much. I'm sure you'll find you answers to all of it, Nejire stated. You're right, thanks Nejire, Izuku said as they continued walking. Well, let's go to your room and treat that hand of yours, Nejire added as Izuku chuckled. Guess I can't hide anything around you, Izuku stated as he showed his burned hand palm. Is that from 𝗵𝘃𝗀's attack? Nejire asked. It is. I blocked his full power with it. If it was his usual self, then he would have burned till at least my elbow. Izuku explained. After that, Izuku and Nejire walked towards Izuku's dorm as they treated Izuku's hand. Izuku then wanted to lay down and sleep early because he was tired after the exam when suddenly someone knocked on the door. Come in, Izuku said as the door opened up and Mirio and Tamaki walked in. Once they walked in, they locked the door. So guys, what's so important you guys have to come this late and even lock the door? Izuku asked. Mirio then handed Izuku his phone as it was still connected to someone. Hello, Izuku said through it. Hello Izuku, it's me Night Eye. I asked Mirio to give his phone to you so we can talk, but it's maybe better to meet in person again. Are you available tomorrow? Night Eye asked. And yeah, sure, what time? Izuku asked. 3 p.m. Mirio will bring you towards my office where we can talk more. I'll see you then, I said as he hung up. Well, that was short, Izuku said confused. Yeah, he's like that, don't worry about it, Mirio said. So, do you have any idea what he wants to talk about? Izuku asked as someone knocked on the door. Mirio unlocked and opened the door as Aizawa walked in. Aizawa, you were also asked for the mission, right? I was just asking what the mission is about, Izuku stated. I know a little bit about it. I've heard it's about a group called the Shy Hasaikai. It's said they are producing some sort of drag of some sort, but the biggest problem is that it can sells or even attacks quirks, Aizawa explained. That's right, sir, and I have been investigating for a while now. We joined forces with other agencies as also Ryukyu's and 𝗵𝗃𝗄's agencies joined in Oswell. They wanted to ask Eraser Head Oswell, and when they heard about you they wanted to request your assistance, Mirio explained to Izuku. I see, so it's stopping a group of villains and finding the drag they created. Izuku asked. Basically yes, we're still investigating, so it's not like the plan will happen tomorrow. Also we are also going to try and find out how they created the drag, Mirio explained. Well, I guess I'll hear all the details tomorrow then, as we'll see Night Eye then, Izuku stated. Before that, the target we are investigating is also close to our agency. This is a picture of him. Whatever you do, avoid him at all costs for now. He is called Kai Chisaki, otherwise known as Overhaul, Mirio said as he showed a picture. I understand, Izuku said as he yawned. Sorry guys, I'm just really tired, Izuku stated. Don't worry, we'll be going now. I'll bring you to our agency tomorrow, Mirio said as he walked out. Good night, Mirio said as Tamaki and Aizawa nodded while walking out. Izuku laid down in bed as Nejire laid her head on his chest as they fell asleep. The night passed quickly. The next day Izuku woke up but Nejire was gone. Izuku figured she had to be with her friends, so he got up and did his morning routine as training. He then took a shower and grabbed some food, and before he knew it, the time for Izuku and Mirio to head towards Night Eye had arrived. They both walked towards Night Eye's agency when suddenly someone bumped into Izuku. Oh, I'm sorry, are you alright? Izuku asked as he held his hand out towards a small girl. She seemed terrified of his hand, but once she heard steps behind her she suddenly clinged to Izuku's chest. Eri, you are causing trouble for people again, a man said as he walked out of an alley. It's Overhaul, Izuku thought in his head as he got on board. I'm sorry sir, I think she might have hurt herself when she bumped into me, Izuku said as polite as he could. This took Overhaul by surprise. Don't worry about it, she sometimes runs off and hurts herself in the process. It's not the first time. I'm sorry she caused you trouble, Overhaul answered politely. Are you her guardian? Izuku asked as he got up again. Actually, I'm her father, he answered. Oh, I'm sorry, you just looked so young. I didn't think you would have a child already this big, Izuku said as he tried to hold a normal conversation. Well, thanks for the compliment, Overhaul said. Well, we can't keep our boss waiting now, can we? Mirio suddenly spoke up. Your boss? Overhaul asked. Yeah, we actually were on our way to have a talk for a job, Mirio said. Oh, I see. Well, good luck on that. Overhaul tried to stay polite as he took Eri and walked away. Once he disappeared, Izuku and Michio were put at ease. You did good, Mirio stated. Actually, I wanted to grab her and run, but that would bring your mission in danger. But she had bandages all around her body, and I could feel his killing intent, so I tried having a normal conversation to calm him down, Izuku stated. I know, that's why I said you did good, Mirio answered as they then walked towards Night Eye's agency. As they walked in, they saw a lot of other heroes as well as Aizawa, Nejire and Tamaki. Hey, what are you all doing here? Mirio asked. You haven't heard. We're having a meeting today to plan our mission, Aizawa stated. I see, but I thought sir wanted to speak with Izuku, Mirio said confused. I wanted to, but something came up, and we can't wait that much longer, Night Eye said as he suddenly showed up behind them. Now that everyone is here, come inside so we can start the meeting, Night Eye stated. Alright, but first I have to ask, why are those students here? Sure, they come from UA and all, but won't they just hold us up? Rocklock asked. Those kids definitely won't hold us back. In fact, it might very well be the other way around, Night Eye stated. Say what? Rocklock asked. Tell me, in UA there are a few people everyone knows about, tell me. Do you know who they are? Night Eye asked. Well, I do know the big three have been a hot topic around here for a while, and I heard about a kid who defeated a Nomu strong enough to kill All Might, Rocklock stated. And those four you heard about are exactly them, Night Eye stated. What? You can't be for real. Rocklock stated annoyed. I have to believe one of those kids is stronger than All Might. And that three of them are from the big three. He stated. If you believe it or not is of no matter, it's true either way, Night Eye stated. First of all, I want to introduce everyone to Izuku Midoriya. At first I had only planned for this group, but when I heard about him from Mirio I knew we would be needing his power, Night Eye said as he held his hand out to Izuku. Izuku then stood up and bowed. So you are the famous Izuku Midoriya? Rocklock said. You don't look that tough to me, Rocklock said. You'll change your mind once you see me in action, Izuku said with an innocent smile as Aizawa had an amused grin on his face. Now to explain his power, I had a talk with Izuku before and he told me more about it. His quirk is Enhance. It's not like any normal enhancement quirk as it does not only enhance one thing like they normally do, Night Eye started off. Then what does it do? Rocklock asked. Night Eye looked at Izuku as Izuku nodded. My quirk enhances everything, from my body to my mind as well as my senses. For my body I had to train a lot to gain this power and speed that I have today, as or my mind and senses it came naturally. Although I would have to say that I train my senses as well, I'm even able to sense everything around me. If my eyes are open I can just feel it, but if my eyes are closed then it's like a map in my head, or like if I'm watching from above, I can see even the slightest movements, also hear them. I can smell the faintest of smells, Izuku explained. And there is no way in hell I'll believe that, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 said. Hearing stories and all is fine and all, but recruiting someone for a mission just because of things you heard which aren't even possible. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 stated. You want a demonstration then? Izuku asked. Aizawa had his usual grin on his face. Mirio, Tamaki and Nejire stood up, but suddenly so did Ryukyu. I want to join in on this as well. I want to experience what it's like fighting you, Ryukyu said. Alright then, it's settled, Izuku said. Fine, but if anything of this is a bluff, then I'm out of here, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 said as they all walked towards the basement which Night Eye built like a training room. So, how do you want me to show you that everything about me is true? Izuku asked. Block each and every move, no matter how fast or how impossible it may seem. If you really are that amazing like they say then you should be able to do so, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 stated. Sounds fair enough, Izuku stated as he walked towards the middle of the room as Mirio, Tamaki, Nejire and Ryukyu split up around Izuku. Ryukyu suddenly changed into some sort of dragon-like form. Wait, can anyone be LNDFLD me? Izuku asked. Aizawa then walked up. You sure it will be dark enough and not see-through? 𝗏𝗏𝗏 asked. Aizawa then placed it first on his eyes as it completely closed off any sight. Aizawa then placed it on Izuku. Alright, start. Izuku said as they launched their attacks. Tamaki tried grabbing Izuku as Mirio disappeared. Nejire shot her energy wave at Izuku as Ryukyu tried slashing Izuku. Izuku jumped forwards to avoid Tamaki's tentacles. He then jumped on Ryukyu's hand to avoid the slash as he then backflipped to avoid Nejire's attack. Once he landed, Mirio appeared behind him, but suddenly Izuku disappeared as he appeared again behind Mirio as he lightly touched Mirio's back with his hand. Convinced yet? Izuku asked. Well, I shouldn't have to ask, that shocked expression would tell enough, Izuku stated as 𝗏𝗏𝗏 was indeed shocked by what he saw. Alright kid, I'll believe the stories now, but you better not let us down, he said. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's resume the meeting. We found Overhaul's hideout, but the actual reason of this meeting is something else. Their drag's affect has changed, Night Eye started. What do you mean changed? Aizawa asked. Just like I'm saying, at first it cancelled the quirk, it was just temporary, but now they are able to completely erase a quirk, Night Eye stated as everyone gasped. We found a bullet still intact and had it analyzed but made a horrifying discovery, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 said. What did you find out? Aizawa asked. The bullets contained human BLD, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 stated. That's disgusting, Ryukyu said as suddenly Izuku gasped and turned to Mirio. Could it really be? Izuku asked a bit in panic. Do you know more about this? Night Eye asked. I'm not so sure, but we might, Mirio stated. On our way here, we encountered Overhaul. Izuku stated. Everyone got wide eyes. A small girl, he called her Eri, bumped into me as he then showed up behind her. All my senses shouted at me to grab her and run. I didn't because it would bring your mission in danger, but, Izuku stated. What did you find out? Ryukyu asked. That girl Eri, she was covered in bandages on her arms and legs, Izuku stated as they all got wide eyes again and gasped. Could she really be the source of the bullets? Could she really have such a quirk? Izuku asked. Alright, now we know for sure, we can't wait any longer with this mission, we'll have to do it as soon as possible, Night Eye stated. The life of a little girl depends on it, and we have to get our hands on those drags to see if we can counter it with a medicine. He added. The mission will be put in action in 2 days. I want you all to be ready by then. I finished as they all nodded and walked out except for the big three and Izuku. That was a good display there, Izuku, Night Eye said as he walked towards him. Thanks, sir. I'm glad I improved so much to make all that possible, Izuku answered. Izuku and Night Eye then talked some more as they eventually put on a contract so Izuku would have a work studio there and was able to do hero work at Night Eye's agency. Well, go home for now. The mission in 2 days will be your first assignment. It might be a harsh first assignment, but we're really counting on you for this to work, Night Eye said as he walked off. Izuku, Mirio, Tamaki and Nejire then walked back home towards UA. That day, as well as the other days before the mission, all passed really fast. It was now the morning for the mission. Izuku, the big three and the other heroes were getting ready just a few streets away from Overhaul's hideout. Alright, is everyone ready? Night Eye asked as everyone nodded. Once the assault begins, there is no turning back. If we do, then Overhaul will get away with the girl and it'll be even harder to get them, Night Eye said. I'll take the lead, Izuku said as he walked up. What? Following a little kid? Are you kidding me? A police officer shouted. Izuku then got serious as a burst of energy was shot from his body. Got a problem with that? Izuku asked sharply as the police officer almost pissed his pants. Nope, not at all, he said. I might be a bit rough with the doors and the people in front, Izuku stated. Don't worry, as long as you don't kill anyone it's alright, Aizawa stated. Alright everyone. Follow Izuku and let's go. Night Eye shouted as Izuku ran towards the hideout. Suddenly the door broke down as a big guy showed up. Why is it so damn crowded out? He started, but Izuku kicked him high up in the air in the blink of an eye. View Q, Nejire. Izuku shouted. Right. They said in unison as they and some other heroes stayed around and dealt with them. What do you guys think you're doing here? Some villains asked as they saw Izuku closing in on the hideout. Keep moving forward, Izuku said as he suddenly disappeared and appeared again in front of the door while the villains just fell forward. Izuku then broke the door down. I'll lead this part, I said. There is a secret hideout in here. There is a certain passcode of some sort to open it. I remember it when using my quirk on one of the henchmen, he said as he unlocked it. Izuku then closed his eyes. I'll lead the way from here, Izuku said as he ran downstairs. Once he got down he stopped for a little bit. What's he doing? Rocklock asked. He's searching, Mirio said. He can see everything, but this place must be like a maze so he's searching for them, Mirio added. Suddenly Izuku started running again but kept his eyes closed. Watch out everyone, Izuku said as the hall started changing. Izuku kept his eyes closed to keep watch over everyone and to see suspicious movements. Suddenly they saw Izuku disappear as Izuku then appeared again at a wall while crushing it. The person who's doing this is using the walls to attack us, so be on guard, Izuku stated as they started running again. Suddenly 3 more villains showed up. Izuku, keep going, I'll handle this. Tamaki shouted as he saw the villains. Alright, good luck. Izuku said as he advanced. After a while of running Izuku noticed they were getting closer to Overhaul and Eri, but he was on the move. They noticed we're here for them and the drag bullets, Izuku stated. We'll have to hurry, Aizawa stated. Watch out. Izuku shouted as the ground opened up. Izuku managed to jump in time, so did Mirio, but they were separate from the others. Don't worry about us. Just go. We'll find our way, make sure you save the girl and get Overhaul. Izuku heard Night Eye say. Let's go Mirio, Izuku said as he and Mirio made their way towards Overhaul. However, they were met with 3 of Overhaul's lackeys. But Izuku and Mirio made easy work of them as they easily pushed through as they then reached Overhaul. You too again, seems your boss liked you too if he accepted you for the job, Overhaul said sarcastically. We've come here to take you in as well as take the drags and save Eri. Izuku stated. What makes you think that you can? Overhaul asked as he took off his gloves. We don't think we can, we know we can, Mirio stated as he went underground then suddenly appeared behind Overhaul as he punched him away from Eri. Overhaul smacked the ground as spikes shot towards Mirio and Eri. Izuku quickly appeared as he grabbed Eri and avoided the spikes while Mirio went underground. I have to say you two certainly are fast, Overhaul said. Mirio then appeared behind Overhaul again as he kicked him this time. Mirio, don't worry about Eri, I'll keep her safe. Izuku stated. Mirio then started fighting with Overhaul for real. Overhaul also sended his attacks towards Izuku and Eri, but Izuku dodged it all even through the smallest openings since he could see everything. Mirio started pummeling Overhaul, but after a while Ryukyu and the big villain fell through the ceiling. Overhaul took this interruption as a chance to power up. Mirio, watch out. He's gonna do something, Izuku stated. Suddenly Night-Eye and Aizawa walked in as they saw Izuku with Eri unharmed as well as Mirio with one a few scratched. However, the big guy below Ryukyu suddenly vanished as Overhaul started changing. No way, Izuku stated in disbelief. What happened? Night-Eye asked. He fused somehow with that guy. Izuku suddenly shot towards Aizawa and Night-Eye as he gave them Eri, as he kept close attention on Overhaul as he first charged at Mirio. He either forgot about Eri or figured he has to deal with us first. He's now completely ignoring Eri and going straight for Mirio, Izuku thought. Night-Eye, Aizawa, Izuku said silently. Take Eri and leave, he whispered. At the moment, Overhaul is completely fixated on Mirio and maybe me as well. He figured he has to beat us first. That means it creates an opening for you two to take her to safety. We'll handle Overhaul, Izuku stated. They nodded and silently walked off until they were out of sight as they then ran away with Eri. Izuku was closely watching Overhaul and Mirio fight. He saw that Mirio was placing some solid hits but with little to no effect. Meanwhile, Overhaul tried to grab Mirio for some reason. Wait, that's it, Izuku thought. Mirio kicked Overhaul to the face, but I just pushed his face a bit but it didn't do any real damage. Overhaul wanted to grab Mirio's leg but before he could Izuku showed up and kicked Overhaul in the face. Time to 𝗧𝗵𝗲, Izuku said as Mirio nodded. One Izuku then launched at Overhaul as he punched him in the gut, then grabbed his arm and threw him through the hole Ryukyu landed. He immediately jumped after Overhaul. Ryukyu, Mirio, go there, Izuku pointed towards a hole in the wall. Night-Eye, Aizawa and Eri are in there just a bit ahead, he said before he got out. Once Izuku got out he noticed some heroes on the ground as well as Nejire. She was breathing heavily. She didn't seem to be hurt but she was exhausted. Damn it, it might not have been such a good idea to bring him out here with them in such a state, Izuku thought as he landed. Izuku, what are you doing here? And what is that? Nejire asked. Izuku ignored her as he concentrated on Overhaul. One, you wannabe heroes are such a pain in the butt. I'll take all of you down, then I'll get Eri back. After that I'll make sure no one will ever stand in my way again. Overhaul shouted as he launched at Izuku. BW for the information, Overhaul looks like how he got out of the ground after chasing Izuku. Overhaul threw a punch at Izuku but Izuku blocked him with just one hand but the force made Izuku crack through the ground a little as he held his ground. Izuku then pushed Overhaul back as he jumped after him while kicking him in the stomach. I won't be beaten by a little nobody. I won't let my work be for nothing, Overhaul shouted as he landed on the ground. He slapped the ground as a large wave of rock spikes were launched towards Izuku. Izuku wanted to dodge it but then noticed everyone behind him. If I dodge then they'll be hit by it, maybe even killed. I can't let that happen, Izuku thought as he turned serious. Izuku quickly punched the ground as the impact created a shockwave strong enough to destroy the spikes. Izuku then quickly charged at Overhaul as he gave him a barrage of hits. Izuku finished with a heavy blow to the chest, making Overhaul lose control of his fused state as he turned back to normal. Izuku then threw Overhaul up as he then grabbed his leg and threw him back towards the ground while following after him as he finished it with a heavy blow to the stomach, knocking Overhaul out. It's over, Izuku said as he opened his eyes. Aizawa, Night-Eye, Ryukyu and Mirio also made their way outside just like the other heroes. Izuku then walked towards Nejire. Are you alright? He asked her. I am, don't worry, the other guy you beat at the start just sucked our energy out by breathing in, Nejire explained. Suddenly her eyes got wide. Watch out, she shouted. Izuku then noticed the attack coming. Overhaul, even while unconscious, launched his quirk at Izuku. Izuku thought he had won and was caught off guard. He couldn't dodge because Nejire was on the ground and he didn't have time enough to grab her, so he blocked the hit for her as he held his body in front of her. Then multiple spikes pierced Izuku's back as he fell to his knees. Izuku! They all shouted as they quickly placed Overhaul in Quirk's ceiling HNDCFFS. Izuku coughed some blood as he was also bleeding a lot from his back. There was already an ambulance at the scene, just in case someone would be wounded. They quickly got Izuku in it as they rushed him towards an hospital. Mirio went with Izuku as Tamaki stayed behind with Nejire. Izuku got to the hospital and was immediately brought to a surgery room as they removed the spikes, while also looking if there was any internal damage as they then stitched the wounds. The surgery took a few hours, and meanwhile Nejire and Tamaki had also made their way towards the hospital as they were all waiting for Izuku. "So how is he doing?" Tamaki asked as they saw Mirio sitting in the hall. "I don't know, they were doing a surgery but it has been a few hours," Mirio stated. "I hope he's alright," Nejire added. Suddenly the door opened but instead of the doctor, it was Izuku who walked out. "Izuku. What the hell? You were in surgery for hours and now you just walk out casually like nothing happened," Mirio said in shock. "Well, I'm not acting like nothing happened, it hurts like hell," Izuku stated. He then lifted his shirt showing the bandages around him. "They fixed me up but I felt good enough so they decided to let me go," Izuku stated. "You are one insane guy, you know that," Tamaki said amazed. "Thanks," Izuku said smiling. "How are you guys doing?" Izuku asked the big three. "I only had a few scratches," Mirio said. "My energy was drained but that was actually all. I recovered quite a bit of it the past hours," Nejire added. "I had some injuries, but I got healed by a doctor before I got here so I'm good too," Tamaki finished. "I see, well I'm glad you're all fine now. How is the girl doing?" Izuku then asked. "She's doing alright, she's very scared of everyone. Overhaul must have done a lot of horrible things to her, but she's glad she's safe now," Aizawa said as he showed up with Night Eye. "I see. Good to hear," Izuku said smiling as suddenly Aizawa got called. "Hello. I see. Really? Alright, thank you," Aizawa said throughout the call as he hung up. That was all might. The police there had an encounter with Kurogiri from the League of Villains, Aizawa explained as they all got wide eyes. "Plus, they captured Kurogiri. Kurogiri has been caught," Aizawa explained. Izuku stayed surprisingly silent. The big three looked towards him but just saw a blank expression. They were confused by it but didn't know why Izuku didn't respond to it. After a while of silence, Izuku just walked past them. "Where are you going?" Nejire asked. "I'm going to take a rest at UA to heal my wounds," Izuku stated. She then ran after him. "I'm going with you, I'm the one who takes care of you whenever something's wrong or when you recover," Nejire winked at him as they walked to UA. Izuku just smiled. After they arrived at UA, Class 1A was happy to see Izuku in one piece. They heard about the raid on the news and only saw Izuku being pierced by those rocky spikes as he protected Nejire. "Don't worry guys, I'm fine now, I just need a bit of rest," Izuku said. He then sat together with his class. "Hey guys, what do you think about swimming tomorrow? We could ask for the school pool," Uraraka stated. "Is it alright if we come as well?" Mirio asked as he and Tamaki walked in. "Sure. It's more fun that way," Uraraka said excited. "But who'll ask Aizawa?" Ida asked. "I'll do it. Maybe if I ask we'll be allowed to use it," Izuku said as he walked outside to see if Aizawa got back. "We'll come with you," Kirishima said as he, Todoroki and Tokoyami stood up. "Alright, let's go," Izuku said with a smile. They then walked towards the school to see the teachers. Only Vlad and Aizawa were there as they knocked on the door. "Yes, what is it?" Aizawa asked as they walked in. "Hi sir, we wanted to ask permission to use the pool tomorrow," Izuku stated. "Sure, go ahead, normally I wouldn't say yes so easily, but seeing what you have been through, you deserve it to relax," Aizawa said with a surprisingly soft smile. "Thank you sir," Izuku said with a smile as the others bowed down to say thank you. With that they went back to the dorm to tell everyone that they were allowed to use it tomorrow. "Yay," Uraraka answered. "Now we can finally relax for a bit," she added. "Thanks for asking Izuku, he only said yes because you asked and needed to rest," Kaminari said. "Well, it does sound nice, so why not? That way I can relax for once," Izuku smiled. The big three stayed a bit longer now to watch some TV with Class 1A. Since Izuku belonged to their group, they had been hanging around there a lot lately as they actually liked Class 1A and Nejire was actually staying with Izuku so she stayed there anyways. "By the way, Ida, your quirk is your speed, right? Who is faster?" You or Izuku? Mirio asked curiously. Well, to be honest, even if I pushed my 𝗔𝗫𝗄 to the limit, I would only be as fast as Izuku in the state he is now. It's nowhere near his serious state, 𝗧𝗵𝗲 admitted. However, I have been increasing my speed a lot lately, 𝗧𝗲 said. I consider him my rival when it comes to speed, he finished. Don't we all consider him our rival? Azui asked as they all nodded. Then they all started laughing. Izuku enjoyed how his class was right now. By the way, they said they caught Kurogiri from the League of Villains. Kirishima suddenly. Yeah, we heard, right after the mission. Aizawa told us about it, Mirio stated. Isn't that a good thing though? That means the League of Villains can't just appear out of nowhere again, and they can't just run off with his quirk again, Kirishima stated. That's true, Mirio then said. Izuku then stood up. I'm sorry guys, I'm going to bed early today, I'm really tired, Izuku said as he walked off to bed. What's with him all of a sudden? Kaminari asked when Izuku left. I don't know, he's been like this ever since the mission. When he heard about Kurogiri he didn't respond and just looked with a blank expression, Mirio explained. He also just left after giving any response, Tamaki stated. Something's up, that's for sure, Nejire stated as she walked towards the stairs to go to his room. She walked in just to see Izuku fully clothed sleeping on his bed while his legs were on the ground. He really was tired, she thought as she walked towards him. She opened the blankets and laid Izuku in bed properly as she then changed to her pajamas and laid next to him. She grabbed his hand, placed her head on his chest, smiled and fell asleep. The next morning she woke up early as Izuku also woke up immediately. Oh, good morning Nejire, I didn't even notice you get into bed, Izuku said. Don't worry, I followed after you and noticed you already asleep, she said with a smile as she then kissed him. It's one hell of a way to wake up, that's for sure, Izuku said as he smiled. What do you mean? She asked curiously. Well, waking up and seeing my beautiful girlfriend sleeping on my chest and getting a kiss from such an amazing girl to wake up with, Izuku said as she got completely red. She then smiled as well and snuggled up closer to him as she started kissing him again. She then climbed on top of him. What are you doing? Izuku asked as he started blushing as she also took off his shirt. Payback for making me blush so much, Nejire said with an evil grin as she started tickling him. No, please stop. 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝐻, Izuku said as he laughed from the tickling. Izuku tried stopping her as she then grabbed his arms, placed it above his head as she then started kissing him again. 8. Izuku, no matter what happens, I'll love you forever, she said as she placed another soft kiss. I know, I love you too Nejire, Izuku said. Suddenly someone knocked at the door. Hey guys, are you up? Uraraka asked. Yeah, we'll be coming in just a bit, Nejire said as they both started blushing. I'm glad I locked the door and it's not Mirio out there, she thought. She placed another soft kiss on his lips as she then got off him and changed in the small bathroom they had. Since they were together in there, they got a small bathroom for themselves. The reason is so they had more privacy, especially Nejire. The main reason, well, Mineta. She then took her bikini and put it in her bag with a towel. Izuku took his swimming shorts and put it in a bag with a towel as well as he changed into other clothes. After that they went downstairs and grabbed some food while waiting for everyone to arrive. They were still waiting for Mina and Kaminari, who were always late no matter what they had to do. Jiro, could you wake them up? Izuku said as she smiled and nodded. Don't hold back on them, he added as she gained an evil smirk. After a while they heard Mina screaming and just a bit later Kaminari as well. Jiro came downstairs and laughed. They are awake, she said. Good job, he said with a smile as they then walked down. Whose idea was it to make Jiro wake us of all people? Kaminari asked as Izuku just waved softly. You didn't. Mina said in disbelief. I did. Want me to make her do it again? Izuku said as Jiro got ready to plug her earphone jack in them again. And oh, we're awake. Kaminari shouted. Well, let's go to the pool then, Izuku said as they all walked towards it. They all changed as they walked in. Izuku and the big three were the first, although Izuku still had his bandages on. Mirio wanted to say something about it when the others came through. Yo Izuku, why don't you take those bandages off? Kirishima asked. Oh yeah, forgot about those actually, he said as he got them off. When he did, all the girls started blushing as they for the first time saw his ripped body. Even Nejire, who was his girlfriend, had never seen it as she stared while blushing. "Hey Izuku," Mirio said as Izuku turned around. "I think you melted her brain," he said as he waved in front of her eyes. Izuku then walked towards her. "Maybe this'll help," Izuku said as he kissed her softly. They thought she couldn't get any more red, but Izuku's kiss proved them otherwise. "Guess not," Izuku said. "I think we've got another problem," Kirishima said as Izuku turned around again just to see the other girls shocked with eyes wide, mouth open and blushing. Mineta looked at Nejire as he started drooling. Suddenly he almost pissed himself as he felt an ominous form behind him. As he turned around, Izuku stood behind him. "Lay one finger on her, and you are dead," he said as Mineta nodded in fear. He then appeared again in front of Nejire too. Izuku then looked at Nejire again, but this time completely, as he noticed she had an amazing body and her bikini perfectly matched her body as well as her beautiful face and hair. As Izuku himself started blushing. "Seems Nejire has the same effect on you as you have on her," Mirio teased. Izuku then snapped out of it. "How is the water?" Izuku asked as Tamaki placed his head in. "Very cold," he said. "Well, since I might have melted their brains, maybe it should be best to cool them off by throwing them in the water," Izuku stated as all the guys started smirking. Class 1A worked together and grabbed the girls as they threw them in the water. Izuku grabbed Nejire and jumped in together as Mirio grabbed Tamaki and jumped in, but Tamaki created tentacle arms and swept the others in as well. Once they got their heads above the water, they all started laughing. Suddenly Nejire jumped in Izuku's neck. "That was so unfair," she said as she pouted. Most of the guys were a bit jealous Izuku had such an awesome and gorgeous girlfriend. "Sorry, but you weren't responding to anything, so I thought a kiss might help," Izuku said innocently. "So, if I get this right, first you melt our brains and then think it's a smart move to just kiss me knowing it would make me blush when this many people would watch?" Nejire asked as she placed a finger at her chin. "Basically yes. Any reaction would at least be a reaction," Izuku stated. She then pushed him underwater. "Well, this time, let's pay you back. Since you also melted the other girls' brains, I'll allow them to tease you just this once while we're in the pool," Nejire said as Izuku got up. "Aegean." "Wait, what?" Izuku asked almost in fear. "You heard me. To top it off, I'll allow anything if it's not too intimate like a kiss on the lips, but only this once, and that's for teasing us," she stated as she got closer as the other girls followed. "Guys. A little help, please," Izuku said. "Can I?" Mineta asked. "All right, everyone except for you, that is," Izuku stated as they laughed. "Nope, you betrayed me when you made 𝐤𝐸 wake me up," Kaminari said. "Revelry in the dark," Tokoyami said. "Emirio. Kirishima. Todoroki. Izuku asked. "Two? Sorry bro, I'm not going to get mixed in this," Kirishima said as Mirio and Tamaki nodded. "Is it really that bad?" Todoroki asked. "You have brought this upon yourself." Iida smiled. Izuku then dived deep underwater but then noticed Azui coming towards him as she grabbed his leg with her tongue as she got up. "I got him," she said as she pulled him up. "I forgot about that," Izuku said as they all hugged Izuku, as some of them even placed kisses on his cheek or felt his ripped body. Suddenly they made way for Nejire as she swam towards him. "Time for payback," she said with an evil smirk as Izuku looked in fear. Nejire came closer and for the first time ever she gave him a wet kiss. All the guys were looking with wide eyes as all the girls started blushing. "Wow!" Izuku shouted as she was done. Nejire smiled shyly as she blushed. "That was awesome," Izuku said silently. "Glad you liked it, so did I," Nejire said as she jumped Izuku and hugged him. After that they all started playing for a while, some just relaxed. "All right, now that you've had your fun, your time is up," Aizawa said as he walked towards them. "Really?" Kaminari asked. "Yes, it's already 5 p.m., so we're closing the pool," Aizawa stated. "Never knew we've been here for hours," Izuku stated as he got up and went to dry himself off and got changed. The others quickly followed. Once they were done they walked towards the dorm, but strangely Izuku wasn't there. "He wasn't changing anymore," Iida said. "Where could he be?" Nejire said as she got a text message. "Sorry, I'll be back later," it said as it was from Izuku. Meanwhile at Izuku, he was still in the school as he sneaked inside his class and got his hero costume. He left his phone on his table as he grabbed his costume and got changed. He then sneaked out of UA and ran into the city. "Sorry guys, Nejire, I have to do this," he thought as he jumped from roof to roof. Izuku made his way to the train station as he got on the train towards the next city. He then quickly made his way until he eventually arrived at a deserted part of the city. Izuku scanned the area with his senses and noticed some people in a closed-off building. Izuku then went towards a payphone close by as he called the cops and gave his location. "There will be some villains to arrest here in just a bit," Izuku stated as he hung up. Izuku then waited until he heard sirens as he then launched himself inside the closed-off building. Well, what do we have here?" 𝗵𝗲 said. "You got here faster than expected," he added. Izuku then despaired as he took them all out in an instant except for 𝗬𝗂, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 and 𝗵𝗲. "I see you mean business," 𝗵𝗲 said. "I'm not going to waste time on you, Shigaraki," Izuku said as he shot air pressure from his fist to Shigaraki. Bakugo placed his hand next to Izuku's head and activated his quirk, but Izuku disappeared as he kicked Bakugo in the stomach, knocking him out oswell. "So I guess you heard about Kurojire's capture, I take it?" 𝗬𝗂 asked. "I did, that's why I came. This time I can deal with the League of Villains once and for all and defeat you," Izuku said seriously. Suddenly the police barged in. "Police! Surrender now!" they shouted as Izuku punched 𝗬𝗂 away, but it was blocked by wind. However, 𝗬𝗂 got still launched out of the building. "Arrest them, I'll take care of him," Izuku said as he jumped after 𝗬𝗂. Izuku and 𝗬𝗂 arrived at an open spot. "This should do, no hiding spots and we won't destroy anything. And since Kurojire has been captured and the others been arrested, no one will interfere," 𝗬𝗂 stated. "This almost feels like our first battle, seeing our surroundings and all," Izuku stated. 𝗬𝗂 looked around in surprise and then smiled. "You're right, it's almost the same indeed," 𝗬𝗂 stated. "Tell me, you're not really evil, are you?" Izuku asked. "Now why would you ask that when I joined the League of Villains?" 𝗬𝗂 said, smirking. "You may have joined them, but you haven't done anything wrong, so for you only fought me, and other than that you helped me and my friends a few times now," Izuku stated. "I want to fight you at your best. If that means making myself a villain, then so be it. I told you, I'll only join the heroes if you are able to beat me. This time if you can't, then you'll die," 𝗬𝗂 said. Izuku then took a stance. Izuku then threw an air punch towards 𝗬𝗂 as he countered with a fire punch, creating an explosion. Meanwhile at UA, Class 1A and the Big Three were still waiting for Izuku as suddenly the series on TV changed to live news. Thanks to an anonymous tip, the League of Villains have been arrested, the news reporter said as it changed to a police officer. "We were called to come towards a certain location. The person said that there would be villains to arrest. Once we arrived, we saw a boy with green hair, almost like a ninja, punching someone away. He told us to arrest them and he would deal with the other one," the police officer said as suddenly an explosion was heard not that far off from them. "Wait. A boy with green hair and dressed like a ninja?" Nejire said in fear. "Could it really be him?" Mirio asked. Suddenly the news changed towards a helicopter who flew towards the explosion. Once they arrived, two people were standing in front of each other. Once they zoomed in, everyone gasped. Izuku was standing in front of 𝗬𝗂. Back at Izuku. "Do others even know you are here? I noticed you are all alone and only called the cops to arrest them, but I don't see any other heroes," 𝗬𝗂 stated. "I'm alone, no interference," he said. "If I told them what I would do, then they would have sended their best heroes with me, and they would certainly interfere," Izuku stated. "So you wish to die alone then?" 𝗬𝗂 stated. "Nope, I have no intentions of dying, I'm here to beat you," Izuku said as he launched at 𝗬𝗂, who made a wall out of the ground, but Izuku now easily broke through. "I'm not like what I used to be before," Izuku shouted as he got past the wall and punched 𝗬𝗂 in the face towards the ground as they broke through it while 𝗬𝗂 was pushed through the ground. "I see, you really improved a lot. I guess I can't hold back on you anymore," 𝗬𝗂 said as fire got pushed from beside him out of the ground as it bended towards Izuku. Izuku quickly jumped away, so he dodged it. 𝗬𝗂 then threw a fireball towards Izuku, but Izuku managed to dodge. However, the fireball flew towards the helicopter at high speed. Izuku landed on the ground and quickly jumped in front of the helicopter as he kicked the fireball back towards 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵. "Not bad," 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵 said as the fireball flew right at him, but he blocked it with water from the sewers. Izuku slowly fell down from the sky. Everyone at the dorm now saw up close it was really Izuku. Izuku then landed on the floor and charged towards 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵. He threw a punch at him but was stopped by the water as it absorbed the blow and slowed the punch down. Izuku was just in time to jump back as two spikes shot out of the ground trying to pierce Izuku. Izuku landed again, but right as he wanted to launch himself at 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵, he got stuck as his legs were frozen to the ground as a pillar surrounded with fire shot out of the ground, sending Izuku flying through a few buildings. Izuku quickly made his way back. "You really are strong," Izuku stated. "So are you," 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵 stated as Izuku suddenly closed his eyes. "What are you doing?" 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵 asked. "Going serious, 𝗧𝗏. You've been hiding the water. I also held something back," Izuku stated. 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵 then shot a tornado from his hand towards Izuku as he fused it with ice as he pulled up his other arm and shot another tornado, but this one with fire. Izuku managed to dodge them, but they were following him. Suddenly spikes shot up from behind 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵 like how 𝗏𝗏 did as they also charged at Izuku. Izuku was trying his best to dodge them. Since his eyes were closed, he saw the smallest movements and that made it easier to respond to it. Izuku saw a small line of fire slowly hovering over the ground towards him as he quickly jumped away just before a circle of fire appeared around him. Izuku then stood still as the attacks got closer and jumped away just at the last second as the attacks cancelled each other out. Izuku used the smokescreen as diversion as he threw an air punch towards 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵, then immediately appeared behind 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵. 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵 was surprised by the sudden air punch, which made him hesitate, but when he noticed Izuku behind him he wanted to turn around, but Izuku kicked him towards the air punch, doing double damage, but at the same time 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵 created a few air cuts which slashed Izuku. "Well, I doubt we can keep this up for long. What do you say we finish this?" 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵 stated as he panted. "Sure," Izuku said as he also panted. Izuku then jumped away on top of a building. 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵 then charged his power as he then shot a tornado, but the tornado was nothing like Izuku had ever seen before. It was a tornado made from every element 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵 could use. A pillar of earth shot out from the ground circling around the moves, as also air with some ice in it, as well as fire and water kept circling around each other. Everyone looking at the news saw Izuku fighting with 𝐴𝐻𝐽𝐵, but once they saw this move, everyone's eyes got wide as well as their mouths wide open as they gasped for air. This was so for the civilians, as well as all the students of UA, but also the heroes and teachers. Even All Might and Izuku. Izuku then pushed himself towards the elemental tornado with everything he had as he launched himself at it. He clashed with the tornado as he punched the tornado, spinning like a drill. The clash created a huge shockwave of power. After a bit of pushing, Izuku managed to break through the tornado as he shot towards 𝐴𝐽𝐝, but his arm was cut all over from the attack. Eventually he punched 𝐴𝐽𝐝 in the chest, which created an explosion from the force. There was a giant smokescreen. As it slowly faded, they saw Izuku standing and 𝐴𝐽𝐝 in a crater on the ground. Izuku had beaten 𝐴𝐽𝐝, but he wasn't in a good state as his arm had cuts all over as well as some cuts on his sides and back from the other attacks and the tornado. "Guess I won this one," Izuku panted. "You sure did," 𝐴𝐽𝐝 said, laughing. "Incredible, I never thought someone would be able to beat me, but you did," 𝐴𝐽𝐝 said as he got up. He walked towards Izuku and held out his hand. "You beat me fair and square, so I have to keep my promise and join the hero's side," 𝐴𝐽𝐝 said. Izuku grabbed the hand and shook it. Such a touching moment. They heard as they quickly turned around to see who it was as they were immediately met by an air cannon. Izuku punched the air cannon as he blocked it. "Who are you?" Izuku shouted. As suddenly a man slowly floated lower to the ground. "I'm the leader of the League of Villains. My name is All for One," the man said. Suddenly a creature landed, creating another crater. "Plus, and this is a Nomu I created to kill you, Izuku Midoriya." Izuku was now standing between All for One and a new Nomu. However, the Nomu didn't look like he normally did. It was almost like a flying coat. That was the best way Izuku could describe it. 𝐴𝐽𝐝 was still panting on the ground, but then so did Izuku. "So Izuku, will you face us and die?" Or will you run and let everyone be killed? 𝐿 asked. The helicopter managed to get some audio from the ground as everyone could hear the options he had. I'll choose neither of them. I'll face you, but I don't plan on dying, Izuku said as he got serious, closed his eyes and took a stance. Are you sure you can take both of them? He said the 𝗏𝗵𝗲 can kill you, and since he made it so the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 could beat you at your best, now that you are worn out, there is no telling what'll happen, Gaia whispered. I don't know, but then again, the first time against you I knew I had no chance and I still faced you, Izuku silently answered. 𝐿 couldn't hear it, but the people on TV could because the people in the helicopter made the sounds on the ground stronger so everyone could hear. Suddenly the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 charged at him from behind at incredible speed. Izuku barely managed to block because he saw the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 starting to move, but right as he dodged it, 𝐒𝐻𝗄 shot an air cannon towards him. Izuku deflected it but immediately got punched towards the ground by the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 as it created a crater. Right as the smoke cleared and Izuku could be seen, they saw him coughing some blood. Izuku struggled to get up. I see you have still some fight left in you, but the fight with Gaia has you all worn out. You're already beaten, 𝐻𝗄 stated. Don't be so quick to judge. Gaia over there knows what surprises I can pull at the last moments, Izuku smirked. Gaia also smirked. Idiot, he said. Izuku took a deep breath to regain his breathing. Izuku, if you can hear me, listen well. That 𝗏𝗏𝗲 is moving like you, so if that thing can anticipate your moves, you can anticipate his before he even makes them. Just think of what you would do in its situation, Gaia whispered, hoping Izuku could hear it. Izuku closed his eyes as he then just took a step to the left as the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 charged right by him. He then backflipped as the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 tried attacking again. Izuku then kicked the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 to the head, making it crash into the ground. The 𝗏𝗏𝗲 got up and started a barrage, but Izuku was able to dodge all of the punches as he was focused on the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 as well as predicting its moves. Incredible, Aizawa said as he was watching it. He makes fighting that 𝗏𝗏𝗲 so easy, he added. Well, Gaia did say that the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 acts like him, so Izuku can just think of what he himself would do, and while closing his eyes he can spot the smallest movements. He is the perfect person to fight himself, Mike stated. Izuku then just grabbed the 𝗏𝗏𝗲's fists as he kneed it in the stomach, then elbowed his neck and smashed him into the ground. Suddenly 𝐻𝗄 appeared behind Izuku. Look out! Gaia shouted as Izuku turned around in shock. HTI was too focused on the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 to notice him get this close. Izuku thought as he braced himself for impact until suddenly a gust of wind could be felt. Izuku then saw that All Might had appeared and punched 𝐻𝗄 away. Are you alright, young Izuku? All Might asked. Yeah, thanks to you, Izuku said, still with his eyes closed as he suddenly turned around and kneed towards the smoke. But when his knee reached the smoke, the 𝗏𝗏𝗲's face appeared as Izuku gave it a harsh knee to the face. If you can handle that one, then I'll handle 𝗏, All Might said as he walked out of the crater. I see you're still alive, All Might. How is that wound treating you? 𝗏 asked. I see you are barely alive, Oswell. Nice mask you got there, All Might provoked. 𝗏𝗄 then suddenly shot an air cannon towards All Might as he countered it with a Detroit smash. Izuku, I'll help you, Gaia said as he slowly walked towards the crater Izuku was in. Don't, I got this. You just recover a bit more, Izuku stated. The 𝗏𝗏𝗲 appeared again as it suddenly increased in speed. It punched Izuku in the stomach as it launched him high up in the air as he was just inches away from the helicopter. Suddenly the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 appeared and smashed him back towards the ground as Izuku crashed into the ground, making the crater even bigger. The 𝗏𝗏𝗲 charged at Izuku again, but Izuku managed to jump roll back, and right as he did he also kicked the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 in the face. He then grabbed its arm, threw him up lightly, then gave a barrage of punches. Izuku then finished with a heavy punch, making the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 fly just inches away from the helicopter. Izuku then gave an air punch to launch the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 up even higher. I know the people at home are watching and can hear us, so please take the kids away for this, Izuku stated as he then jumped up after the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 as he grabbed its head and almost smashed it to bits with his knee. Izuku then grabbed its arms and pulled it behind the 𝗏𝗏𝗲's body as he placed his foot behind the 𝗏𝗏𝗲's head as they crashed towards the ground. Izuku was flying back down at high speed as he was about to crush the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 underneath him as they landed. Right when the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 made contact with the ground, Izuku jumped away from the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 with all his might as to smash him hard into the ground while making sure he doesn't feel the impact. The impact from the 𝗏𝗏𝗲 created an enormous smoke screen. Did he get him? Gaia asked out loud as suddenly Izuku walked up with an arm around his stomach. I did, but honestly it feels like it got hit by a train, Izuku stated as he and Gaia started laughing as they then turned towards All Might's fight. FO had two massive arms as bone-like spears got out of it. Like he has in the anime, but on both his arms All Might was in his skinny form as only his arm was still buffed. Both All Might and AFO were panting heavily. They are evenly matched, Gaia stated. No, All for one has the upper hand. I've never seen All Might like that, and if that is his true form, then that arm is just the energy he has left, Izuku stated. AFO then charged at All Might as they clashed, but right as they clashed he shot an air cannon from that big butt arm of his to power up his own attack. However, All Might held his ground as eventually they both were launched away. All Might laid on his back now in complete skinny form, even his arm was like that now. I've used up the last remaining power of one for all, he said as he panted. One for all. Is that his power? Izuku thought as he suddenly saw AFO charge at All Might again to finish it. I win. All Might. AFO said as he was about to give the finishing blow as Gaia suddenly shot pillars from the ground towards FO's stomach to stop him as Izuku then punched him in the face to kick him away. You two again. AFO shouted. So you managed to defeat my Nomu, interesting, Ho said as he saw Izuku and Gaia now in front of All Might. You two, he's too strong, I'm sorry, All Might said as he still laid on the ground. Don't worry, All Might, we'll take care of him, Izuku stated as Gaia nodded. What do you think you can do? You're both worn out, AFO stated. So are you, and if we fight together then you won't stand a chance, Gaia said. What happened to fighting fair and one-on-one? Izuku asked to tease Gaia. I'm no longer on my own, you beat me fair and square. Then again, this is also a live or death situation, and not a fight of interest, Gaia smiled. I told you if you beat me I'll join you, Gaia added. Well, glad to have you at our side, Izuku stated. I'm glad, Oswell, All Might said from the ground. Let's go. Izuku shouted as he launched towards AFO as AFO shot an air cannon towards Izuku, but this was blocked by a wall made by Gaia as the wall disappeared again when Izuku reached it to throw a punch in AFO's face. Gaia then trapped AFO in a tornado of wind and fire, then as AFO destroyed the tornado he got hit from multiple sides from pillars out of the ground as Izuku then threw an air punch and launched after it to hit AFO. FO tried blocking with his giant fist but Izuku's power was stronger as it pushed him away. Izuku then jumped back to Gaia. I see, even though you were enemies before, you fight well together. It's true there is no way I can beat the two of you like this now, AFO stated as he disappeared and appeared besides the Nomu. What is he doing? Gaia asked. Oh no. Stop him. Izuku shouted. Gaia turned towards Izuku in shock as he then threw pillars from the ground covered with flames, but he was too late as they were destroyed and Izuku was sent flying. When Gaia turned around he saw a strange creature before him. But then as he blinked Izuku had shot himself from the building he landed in towards the thing as Izuku punched its big arms and pushed it back. Izuku then turned his body as he threw a kick at the creature but that was blocked as it grabbed Izuku's leg and threw him on the ground towards Gaia. Izuku crashed in the ground as it left a trail from where Izuku glided through the ground. What is that? Gaia shouted. That is AFO, he fused with that Nomu I beat. Izuku stated. As Gaia and All Might's eyes got wide. Gaia, you're a long-distance fighter, right? Izuku asked. Mostly yes, I can do close but I'm better from a distance, Gaia explained. Back me up, can you try and power up my attacks with your quirk? Izuku asked. It would need a high LVL of control. It's not that I can't do it, but if I do one wrong move it could backfire and you could gain more damage, Gaia explained. You still want to do it? Gaia asked. At this point I've got so many injuries already that I don't even feel it anymore, but we need to combine our powers to beat him. Izuku explained. I'll try it, Gaia stated. I'm counting on you, Izuku said as he launched at AFO again. His arm was surrounded by wind and fire. Right as Izuku was about to land his blow on AFO, Gaia shot pillars out of the ground in AFO's stomach to take him off guard as it flinched him to create an opening for Izuku to land a powerful blow to AFO. This made him launch away. Izuku quickly followed after as he tried to kick 𝐻𝗄 to the head as his leg was covered in rocks. He kicked 𝐻𝗄 which made him crash into the ground. 𝐻𝗄 then pushed Izuku away as he then tried to punch Izuku with his giant fist. Izuku blocked it as also a mixture of fire, wind and water was placed in front of him in that order. It blocked the attack as Izuku grabbed the arm, pulled it closer, then jumped over the arm and kneed him in the face. Izuku then jumped back towards 𝗧𝗏 as they were both panting heavily. "We're doing some damage, but at this rate we'll tire ourselves out first," 𝗧𝗏 stated. "All Might, do you have enough strength left for one powerful blow?" Izuku asked. "If I force myself to then I can, but after that I will never be able to use this power again," All Might stated. "I see," Izuku said. "I don't know what you're planning but I'll do it," All Might said as Izuku turned around shocked. "You need my power to beat him, right? If I don't do it we might all die, and we have to beat him at all costs. Anyways, with heroes like you too, I can retire in peace." All Might smiled as he got up and forced himself in his muscle form even though smoke was coming from his body. "I'll create an opening, once I make it, 𝗧𝗏. All Might, throw your most powerful moves at him," Izuku stated. As they nodded, Izuku charged at 𝐻𝗄 as he threw an barrage at him. 𝐻𝗄 blocked it with his big arms. As he got impatient he attacked Izuku with a heavy punch to the face, but right as Izuku got sent flying he kicked 𝐻𝗄's face which brought him off balance. "Now!" Izuku shouted as he landed inside a wall. 𝗧𝗏 shot his elemental tornado at full power at him with the elements, earth, fire, water, wind and ice mixed in the wind. All Might launched at 𝐻𝗄 as Izuku also got ready to launch himself at 𝐻𝗄. He pushed himself away from the building as the wall extended as it was like it was throwing him. Izuku threw his punch as he spinned but was then covered by wind and fire. "Thanks, 𝗧𝗏," Izuku said as all three of the moves were launched at 𝐻𝗄. Elemental Tornado. United States of Smash. Combined Move, Flaming Drill Smash. They all shouted as the moves crashed into a fully open 𝗂 as it created an enormous explosion as well as a shockwave which left a huge smoke screen. The smoke slowly cleared. Only two people were standing, Izuku and All Might. 𝗂 was beaten. As Izuku and All Might looked down on him, All Might then lost his muscle form as he fell on his back. Izuku was still standing but panted heavily. He turned towards 𝗧𝗏 and saw him on the ground. Izuku lifted All Might up and brought him to 𝗧𝗏 as he laid All Might besides 𝗧𝗏. "That was one heck of a fight. That's a fight I never want to fight again," 𝗧𝗏 stated. "You can say that again," Izuku said as he was bleeding quiet a bit from all the damage he sustained in his fight with 𝗧𝗏, the Nomu as well as 𝗧𝗄. "My body feels like breaking any second," Izuku stated. "Well, at least you can stand," All Might joked. Then they all laughed. Suddenly a few pros showed up like Endeavor, 𝗏𝗄𝐽 as well as a few newer ones like Edgeshot and a newbie who got famous recently, Hawks. "What are so many strong pros doing here after the fight?" Izuku asked silently. "Izuku Midoriya, All Might, 𝗧𝗏, we admire how strong you fought," 𝗏𝗄𝐽 stated. "But we have our orders to take 𝗧𝗏 away," Edgeshot said. "I don't think so," Izuku said as he walked in front of 𝗧𝗏 between 𝗧𝗏 and the pros. "What are you doing? You'll get in trouble like that," 𝗧𝗏 stated. "I don't care, you saved everyone and became a hero. You said you'd join the heroes if I beat you. Well, I beat you and you joined the heroes. You even helped to take down the strongest villain. So I won't allow anyone to take you away," Izuku stated as the heroes as well as everyone watching TV could hear it. One Nizu and the teachers also saw this as they smiled. They were worried about Izuku, but also proud that he was defending 𝗧𝗏 like that. "Izuku, I was about to face you in the license exam. You took out a villain easily which took me out. I have respect for you power and I do not wish to fight you," 𝗏𝗄𝐽 stated. "Then don't fight. To be honest, I've had my fair share of fights today. It was more than I signed up for, but I'm still standing and I'll fight everyone that I have to if it means protecting my friends, family, even my loved ones," Izuku stated. "I might have fought 𝗧𝗏, but it wasn't as an enemy. He only sided with the villains because he wanted to face me head-on at my strongest, and that was the only way he could achieve it. To be honest, if he stayed neutral I wouldn't be able to face him like I did, and besides he hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't killed anyone or even done anything like the villains did," All he did was fight me. He even saved me and my friends a few times. Izuku stated. He saved me a few times now, and he even stopped the villain attack at the license exam. He also risked his life just now to fight together with us to stop AFO. He's my rival to get stronger, but he is also someone important to me, because through everything we've gained a bond strong enough it'd risk everything for it. He stated. It'd rather not fight, but if you still insist, Izuku said as he got serious, closed his eyes and took a stance. Then you'll leave me no choice. Izuku finished. You idiot, 𝐻𝐸𝐽 said as he smiled. Don't worry, 𝐻𝐸𝐽, Izuku will get through this. Once he does, let's all go to UA together. All Might smiled towards 𝐻𝐸𝐽. Yeah. 𝐻𝐸𝐽 said as Izuku smiled after hearing that. You really want to fight us with that broken, tired body of yours? Hawks asked amazed. Don't bother, Izuku has been like this right from the start of UA. He rescued a girl who was held by the League of Villains on his first day. He defeated a 𝗏𝗲 designed to kill me. It left him in terrible shape. He still fought villains the same night and fought through in villain hideout. Izuku always manages to get through it. This isn't any difference. Even if his body is at its breaking point, he won't stop until he achieves what he wants, All Might stated. Even at our first fight. He was about to fall over as standing took all he had. He hadn't placed a single hit on me, yet when he was fighting for his friends and his loved one, he gained a lot of power to even break through my defenses, 𝐻𝐸𝐽 stated. 1. Izuku won't stop no matter what. All Might and 𝐻𝐸𝐽 stated in unison. I'd love to test that statement, 𝗵𝗲𝗏 said smirking. If you are getting in the way of my order, then that means you will be my enemy. 𝗵𝗲𝗏 stated as he launched at Izuku. Izuku grabbed his fist as he pushed him back with ease as he then kicked him away. Well, let's test this, Izuku said as he took a very deep breath in and out as he then just stood there with eyes closed. What's he doing? Hawks asked. 𝗵𝗲𝗏 then launched at Izuku again with a flaming fist. He was about to punch Izuku in the face. However, Izuku dodged at the last possible second as he only tilted his head besides the punch. 𝗵𝗏𝗏 also shot fire from his fist, but it all shot past Izuku. Izuku then gave 𝗵𝗏𝗏 a heavy blow to the stomach as he then jumped up and kicked 𝗵𝗏𝗏 in the face with insane power as 𝗵𝗏𝗏 crashed into a wall unconscious. Incredible, Hawk said. 𝗏𝐸𝐽 ran towards Izuku as he used his sound waves as edge shot tried getting past Izuku to grab 𝗬𝐸𝐽. However, the sound waves didn't work on Izuku as he just jumped and spinned around to kick edge shot away from 𝗬𝐸𝐽, and right as he landed he jumped backwards and kicked 𝗏𝐸𝐽 in the stomach. 1. Wow, everyone watching the TV said as also All Might and 𝗬𝐸𝐽 said it while watching this. Hawks slowly walked towards Izuku holding his hands up. I'm not gonna fight you, Hawks said. Really? If you pull anything I won't hold back, Izuku stated. After what I saw. No way, I won't stand a chance, and besides, those orders 𝗧𝗍𝐽, why put away someone who hasn't done anything wrong and even saved everyone, just because he was with the villains and is a risk to becoming a villain again, Hawks said. He's not a villain, he's a hero, Izuku said. Well, let's get you, All Might and 𝗬𝐸𝐽 treated, Hawks said as he walked towards All Might. I'll get All Might, can you grab 𝗬𝐸𝐽? Hawks asked as they walked towards ambulances. Izuku stayed with 𝗬𝐸𝐽, even at the hospital as he was still on guard if anyone wanted to take 𝗬𝐸𝐽 away. 𝗬𝐸𝐽 laid in a bed resting as suddenly the door opened up and Hawks walked in. You should rest too and get your wounds healed, man, Hawks said. Someone already closed my wounds, so I'm not bleeding anymore and I was only close to losing too much BLD. As for resting, I can do that once I'm back at UA with All Might and 𝗬𝐸𝐽, Izuku stated. I see. Well, you stay in here then, I'll guard the door, Hawks said. Tell me, why are you like this after showing up with the others even when you were ordered to capture 𝗬𝐸𝐽? Izuku asked as he didn't trust him yet. Because it wasn't feeling right to put someone away after he did nothing wrong and even saved people. You explained it yourself, he saved you and your friends a few times, he even saved everyone's life while helping you beat the big boss. Hawks stated. They want him locked away because they see him as a threat. They are afraid he'll join the villains again, Hawks said. Well, if he does join them, then I'll beat him. Again, but until he does anything wrong or even kills someone, I won't let anyone lock him away, Izuku stated. Are you giving your word that you'll look after him and deal with him if he goes the wrong path? Hawks says. I am, Izuku stated. All right then, Hawks said as he then revealed a phone which was put on speaker. Did you hear all that? Hawk says. I did. From now on Gaia will be free. Izuku has to look after him from now on. If anything happens the wrong way, 𝗧𝗵𝗲 will be held to blame and has to deal with him, but for now Gaia is a free man, the man on the phone said. He isn't just a free man, he's a member of you, Inizu said as he walked in with a smile. Izuku smiled at the principal after hearing that. Gaia had woken up and heard everything. Thank you, sirs, he said towards the phone and Nizu. Well then, Izuku, Gaia, shall we head to UA then? That way Izuku can take a rest as well, and IzukuxNejire and the others are very worried about you, Nizu stated. As Izuku nodded, Gaia got out of the bed as he walked beside Izuku as they met up with All Might as the four of them got in a taxi. Plus, oh by the way Nizu said taking his attention. I'm proud of you, Nizu, Gaia and All Might sat in the taxi on their way to you. Izuku had gotten really tired, his body was pushed way past its limit and he was still pushing his body as it wanted to give out as he even started to breathe. Gaia, All Might and Nizu started to get worried. Izuku, you should really take a rest, All Might said. I will rest once I get to UA. I have to see Recovery Girl anyway, Izuku stated. Why do you have to see her? All Might asked confused. For one, my injuries haven't healed yet, and second, some of my wounds opened up again, Izuku said as he showed the bleeding. Idiot, that's what you get for pushing your body like that, Gaia stated as he also was pretty worried about Izuku after those fights. Well, don't worry, I'll rest once I get to her office, Izuku said as his eyes almost closed. After a bit they reached UA. Izuku got out of the taxi first. Izuku! He heard as Nejire flew towards him while the others ran behind her, but just as she reached him she was stopped by a soft wall of air. But this is, she said as Gaia got out. Sorry, you can tackle him later, just not now, Gaia said as he walked towards Izuku, who then fell forward. Izuku! What happened? The big three and the class shouted. He's been pushing himself way beyond anything he did before. He not only fought me, Gaia said as he got cut off. We know, everything was filmed from your fight on, but didn't he get in an ambulance? Didn't he get treated? Mirio asked in a bit of panic. No, he stayed by my side. Instead someone else tried to take me away again like those pros did. He did close his wounds, but thanks to him pushing himself some of them opened up again, Gaia explained. Gaia lifted Izuku up as he placed Izuku's left arm over his shoulder. Kirishima ran towards them and placed Izuku's right arm over his shoulder as they brought him to Recovery Girl. Once they arrived. I expected as much. You can lay him down on the bed there, she said. I saw the fight earlier and know that he is the kind of guy to push himself until he gets back, she stated as she started to clean then close up his wounds again. Nejire also walked in now. She looked at Izuku. You idiot, we were all very worried about you, especially after you just disappeared, she said softly. I see, so that's what he did, Gaia said. What do you mean? She asked. I asked him why he came alone. He said he didn't tell anyone because that would bring strong pros and would interfere in our fight. However, he didn't really say, he just sneaked out of school to come, Gaia explained. Yeah, we were swimming in the school pool, but after we got out he just disappeared. We were worried about him and were waiting at the dorm, then we suddenly saw the news about the arrest of the League of Villains. After that a helicopter filmed your fight. We followed everything from there, Nejire explained. I did see a helicopter. Never thought it would actually film us though, Gaia said. We even got to hear what was said, so we know what you said about Izuku, and how you helped him. Thank you for that, Nejire said with a smile and bowed. That still won't take away that he worried us so much, she said as she pouted a little. Well, would you be less worried if he told you he was gonna raid the League of Villains, their hideout, and fight me? Gaia asked. Well, no, I would follow him and fight with him, Nejire said. That's the point. He didn't want to worry anyone, that's why he didn't tell anyone. He would have pushed you away to fight me, and against that Nomu and AFO there would have been nothing you could do. Just think about it. Even All Might was almost killed if Izuku and I hadn't barged in the fight at the last second, and we only beat him because the three of us used our strongest moves. No offense, but if you would have been there, they would have targeted you to get an opening at Izuku, Gaia explained. Well, I guess you're right about that, but still, she said. He's so reckless and worries me a lot. But he's still my Izuku, she said as she walked towards Izuku and kissed him on the head. He's lucky to have you, 𝗧𝗓𝗧 said with a smile. Well, I'm the one who's lucky to have him. He did save me on his first day when he got here, Nejire smiled. I heard something about that. What happened? 𝗧𝗓𝗧 asked, curious. Nejire then explained how she was captured, and that Mirio and Tamaki told her afterwards they tried multiple attempts to free her but it ended in fail. She then explained how Izuku rescued her and protected her. She also told him how he had fought a Nomu design to kill All Might, and how he fought against villains while his body was at its breaking point. She then explained how they found him after he fought through a villain hideout, as well as how Izuku's mother had died. I never knew he had been through all of that. Guess that's why he's so strong, 𝗧𝗓𝗧 said as he smiled. He got stronger because he had things to fight for, friends, family, his loved one. I never knew those could be strengths because I've always been alone. My power has always been great, it only got better as I mastered using it, but I've never had anything like friends or family or a loved one, 𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗏 stated. You do now, Izuku said as he opened his eyes. Izuku, Nejire said as her eyes sparkled and she gave a bright smile. You do have that now, friends and family I mean. I said it already, after everything we've been through, we gained a bond strong enough to risk everything on, so for me you already are a friend, and from now on we'll all be your friends, as well as your new family, Izuku stated with a smile as he sat up. Nejire sat beside him as Izuku had placed an arm around her as both smiled at 𝗧𝗓𝗧. Thanks, Izuku, 𝗧𝗓𝗧 said. Don't just thank me, Nejire thinks like that as well, he said as she nodded with a smile. And so do my other classmates, I'm sure of it, he then stated as the door opened up. You bet we do, Kirishima said immediately as they heard everything. Welcome to the family, bro, he then said with a smile. Thanks, all of you, 𝗧𝗓𝗧 said with a big smile. After that it took Izuku a week to recover. 𝗧𝗓𝗧 had officially joined UA and got in the place of Bakugo. He still had to get used to the life at UA as he normally was always alone. Some of the higher-ups picked on 𝗧𝗓𝗧 as he was seen with the League of Villains. But Izuku and Mirio made quick work of that. The big three in Class 1A always supported 𝗧𝗓𝗧. 10 Izuku eventually started his work studies at Night Eye Agency. The following year, the big three graduated. Nejire had her own apartment in the city and Izuku now lived there with her. She had to stay close as she wanted to be with him as well as stay at Ryukyu's agency. In that year, 𝗧𝗓𝗧 also gained his provisional license exam and was then invited into Night Eye's agency to work together with Izuku and Mirio, as that created a legendary big three as well. Mirio was the closest to being number one out of the normal people, and Izuku and 𝗧𝗓𝗧 had powers that were in their own league apart from others. Still, Mirio always kept up with them and they even made combination moves. The amount of villains got way lower after Izuku, 𝗧𝗓𝗧 and All Might had beaten All for One. Overhaul and his lackeys were arrested, and so were the League of Villains. There weren't really any big strong organizations left. There were some solo villains with a lot of power, but those got dealt with easily as the new big three took care of it. Tamaki also stayed with 𝗏𝗏𝗏, and for some missions that Night Eye felt he had to team up with other agencies, he always asked Ryukyu and 𝗏𝗏𝗏. In the end it created a powerful group with Izuku, Tamaki, Mirio, Nejire and 𝗧𝗓𝗧. Or like how people would call them, the unstoppable force. But they didn't stay in those agencies all that long because when Izuku and 𝗧𝗓𝗧 graduated, they all started one big agency. Izuku, Mirio, Nejire, Tamaki and 𝗧𝗓𝗧 were part of it, as well as a few others from UA like Kirishima, Todoroki, Kendo, Momo, Shoji and still a few others of Class B. The agency was quickly ranked to the top as it had the most famous heroes in it, instead of feeling jealous or betrayed. Ryukyu, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Night Eye were proud that the kids they trained started their own agency and was ranked the #1 agency in a very short time. Sometimes on rare occasions, their help was even requested in other countries, until they were then known worldwide. Izuku and 𝗧𝗓𝗧 even got ranked the #1 and 2 heroes from the world. Plus, as for Izuku and Nejire, even after all that time, they were still together, and they weren't planning on ever leaving each other's side again.